It happened so fast. The building smashed down to the ground. I watched it happen. The 7-story apartment building was there one moment, and then it was gone. But it hadn't disappeared. I was looking right at Mrs. Parsons when it went down. It was like the building was a massive tin can that had been crushed by a giant cosmic boot. I saw it and I heard it. Wind rushed at me, and it was instantly dark outside. The street lamp just to my left was gone. The buildings all around me were gone. The cars on the street were gone, too. Everything was gone except the trees and the bicycles and the bike racks, and Marjorie Williams's moped that was still booted by parking enforcement. I looked around, the freezing weather momentarily forgotten. In the dark, overcast night, I could barely see anything. In the distance, a distance I could now see thanks to the lack of buildings, a fire burned. There was complete, utter silence.
Well, that just happened.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another meeting of the St. Balasar English Club. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Jay.
And this is Mongo, and this is Princess Donut, Queen Anne Chonk,
You forgot
Grand Champion.
You forgot an article. There's the Queen Anne Chonk.
And if you thought that was funny, you're going to love this book that was submitted to us by a new member, Matt Dinneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, you might want to get some tape or some thread to hold your sides together, because they're going to be splitting right open.
Yeah, so I know the last time that we were all here together, things got a little weird with Uncle Norman out in rural Suggestionville, but I'm glad I'm okay now. Everything's hunky-dory.
Yeah.
And we're ready to get right back into a completely normal episode. This is like, I can't stop hearing about this book. And I picked it up, and then I was like, completely unsure why, and then a few pages went by, and then I knew exactly why, and then the book just kept going. So it's this really interesting combination of like the mass appeal of this book and also the legacy it has as this self-published thing that just kind of grew and grew, and as the series advanced and more people got into it, it just became so culturally ubiquitous that I'm honestly a little bit baffled given that it's a lit RPG.
It's kind of interesting that a book that like nominally critiques capitalism's like pursuit of growth for its own sake just keeps accruing more and more fans, and the books become more numerous but also longer as they become more numerous. There's like some kind of meta commentary that one could make there, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. To be honest, like, I don't know if this is like a biased disclaimer or whatever, but there's not a lot of love for lit RPG in this room, at least from my side.
Yeah.
But we're kind of uniquely positioned to talk about this, having read the lit RPG, the 10 Elemental Masters.
That's true. And the legend thereof.
And the legend thereof, which I will kind of be referencing. It's not exactly required viewing for this, but a lot of my understanding of lit RPGs come from that book,
yeah,
which is so singularly weird, and this one guy's vision in a lot of ways that this book is itself. So there's commonalities and also differences.
It's a genre that I feel like is still like in its adolescence, culturally. And I think that is reflected in this book, but I won't be surprised if in the wake of Dungeon Crawler Carl's success, we start seeing a lot more of these. Like, they've proven themselves to have like mass commercial viability, which I think could be good for the genre. It could improve a lot sort of structurally and tropically, thanks to the groundwork that this series is laying.
Yeah, And I kind of have mixed feelings about that. Like, I don't even like RPGs as games, tabletop or video. I play Pokemon, but like, I don't know anything about like natures or stats or whatever. I just kind of play it out of nostalgia at this point. And like, I was replaying Elden Ring, and like, I want to just destroy my PS5 because it's the most annoying game in the world. So like, the last thing I want to do is like offload my agency over these games into just reading stat blocks and numbers. And so, but the good things, maybe, I don't know, there has to be some way that this genre can develop in a way that strips out some of these things and just relies on cultural understandings of things.
One thing that I would like to see either stripped out or made into the main point is whether the numbers, the stats that are assigned, or the numbers that are assigned to stats, which are like representations of people's abilities, is like, are these prescriptive or are they descriptive? Because this book can't seem to decide, and I don't know that any lit RPG has ever been able to fully crack that. We'll talk about it later, but it's something interesting worth digging into, I think.
Fun dungeon crawling adventures await. We wanted to thank our sponsors. I think they're called sponsors in this.
I think so.
Our sponsors, the Order of the Orb Fox, who voted on this, the English Club podcast members who provide us with healing potions and mini torches because it's funny.
It's funny when they get a lot of shit that they can't use.
Right.
Because nothing makes for good television like somebody getting really mad.
Right. So thank you guys for pissing us off so much. I had a lot of fun with this book. We'll kind of dive into the summary and then just pick this apart and see what exactly waits us in Dungeon Crawler World. All right, so we open up in Seattle with our hero, Carl. I don't think they give him a last name. Do they give him a last name?
Damn it, I was hoping you would know.
I think it's just Carl. It might just be Carl.
It's funnier if it's just Carl.
I think it's funnier. He is a former Coast Guard person who just kind of does odd jobs. He has this girlfriend, Beatrice, who I wonder may be a Dante's Inferno reference, possibly, because he, descends.
He descends.
And he has a girlfriend who is definitely alive.
Who's definitely alive.
Right. But she's off somewhere else, so he's alone in his apartment with...
He formerly was a Coast Guard, and now he's coasting.
Yeah, that's good.
He's coasting. Nice.
Yes, he's coasting. He lives in this apartment. Currently, Beatrice is out, presumably cheating on him, according to Instagram posts.
No, she just went down to Mexico with some friends for a weekend.
Including her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And sat on his lap in an Instagram post, which is funny to me. But
the opening has the same sort of like relationship conflict premise as Island Fruit Remedy. Like she's just totally on vacation with some friends in a tropical location. And don't worry about it. It's fine.
Don't worry about it. This one doesn't turn into a scorpion yet. Maybe by book 7 it will. Mm-hmm. They share custody of this cat, Princess Donut, or Donut for short, and the Queen and Chonk, which I will bite my tongue about that appellation, but it's a show cat. It's a Persian, I think, so just like a very prissy cat that has been bred for all of these like cat shows, which is kind of funny. Through some comedy of errors that I don't need to go into, a window gets opened in the middle of the night and Princess Donut jumps out, necessitating him to just run out of his apartment. It's like 2 a.m.
and it's snowing and he's in his underwear.
He's in his underwear. He's in his girlfriend's Crocs, these undersized pink Crocs, and then suddenly the collapse or the inciting event happens. The inciting apocalyptic event happens. All of the buildings and all of the like
any structure essentially
structure just gets thwumped into the ground, and everyone freaking dies that is within doors.
Yes.
From there, I started to get like Invader Zim vibes because it's just like the world's silliest alien invasion. He gets this mental notification that Earth has been chosen for extraction by the Borant Corporation from some system. There's all these little like galactic governments that get gestured towards in the book that I think are cool. But basically, there's just a company who is electing to harvest the world for its resources, and as part of some like weird bureaucratic technicality, the surviving inhabitants of Earth can all participate in this game show in order to survive, basically, in order to not die.
Yeah, and if one of them makes it to the end, then Earth can be spared.
Right. And they become like the king of the Earth if they get to like the very bottom.
Right.
So there's multiple different exit points of this game, which kind of confused me. But basically, you got to go through this series of dungeons. It's like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
It is like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
It's exactly like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, actually.
It's honestly, what it reminded me of initially is Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth, in that like we get into the dungeon in just a second and it becomes pretty clear that at least the first floor is just sort of a maze of hallways. Right. Like it's a labyrinth, but the walls don't necessarily rearrange, but it is just like a grid based, you move around, you come around a corner, there's an enemy, you fight it kind of deal. It is a dungeon crawler in like the ARPG sense.
all of these like staircases begin to appear around Seattle, and for lack of anywhere warm to be in this like apocalyptic cold, Carl and Donut descend into the first level of Dungeon Crawler World. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So from here, the book starts to lean heavily on whatever lit RPG draws from. There are goblins, there's magic, there's stat points, there's item descriptions that you use to intuit the lore of the world. So it's just
there's achievements, there's notifications, there's a chat,
boxes.
there's parties.
Right.
Yeah, loot boxes. It's a big one.
And I will gloss over this, but a lot of time is spent explaining these mechanics.
Yes.
And I wonder, target audience wise, how much of this is necessary. Because like even the chat feature gets a lot of explanation about its mechanics and who can and can't use it. And it's just, I mean, even people who don't play TTRPGs or RPGs, I feel like you would know what a goblin is, or like what wisdom means as like a concept.
It's an interesting question because it over-explains so much that would be obvious to what I would imagine the target audience would be, and boring to people who are just getting into the genre to begin with, just because of the quantity of text. But anyway, entering the dungeon, Carl is immediately barraged with a bunch of achievements that sort of pop up like in his brain, basically. He has like a little bit of a HUD. Some of it's grayed out for the moment, but he's able to read these achievements that are for things like walking into the dungeon without pants, being the first person to enter with a cat accompanying them, that kind of stuff. And all these achievements that are given to Carl like by the AI that we'll soon learn sort of runs the dungeon on the company's behalf are very snarky.
They have this really like negging sense of humor to them, which hits sometimes, but not when there's a million of them in a row. Every now and then I was like, oh, haha, that's kind of funny. But it's just like, this is a goblin. By the time you stop reading this, he will be stabbing you. And then then
it'll keep going with like 7 more, and you have to read them all in sequence for fear that you might miss something actually important.
Right. Because a lot of this stuff does end up coming back. There's a good little bit of juggling of concepts here. So immediately attacked by goblins, they're in some kind of steampunk, comically oversized killdozer that has to do what's that movie with Dr. Evil where he has to do like the 3-point road turn? There's a gif of it. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Austin Powers.
It's like the Austin Powers thing. So he's like trying to just dodge as it comes by, and then he's got some cooldown time, and he just instantly runs into the first place he can find, which is the tutorial room.
Yeah. Lay Epic Tutorial Guild.
Epic Tutorial Guild. Sorry, yeah, it's a tutorial guild wherein dwells this little rat man named Mordecai.
Indeed.
And that's what I was talking about with all the things that need explanation is after the comedy of errors that gets him into the room, he just explains everything.
Yeah.
So kind of like what we've already alluded to, this is an intergalactic game show. They're drawing implicitly from Earth culture as they understand it. Apparently they've been studying Earth and making contact for at least 50 years, maybe more, but like specifically targeting the Earth for extraction for 50 years.
The bureaucracy that determines when a company is allowed to claim a planet was like sort of funny. So like there's some rule that like the company must try to make contact, but they don't have like any responsibility to do it in a way that the Earth could actually understand.
Right.
So I think it's implied that like the Borant Corporation had tried to make contact with like previous civilizations that didn't have the technological know-how to like receive these transmissions. So they kind of just like ironically wait until it would actually have been possible for Earth to do something about it, and then they lay their claim on the territory and like make them do the dungeon.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
Which is really funny to me. I love the little like Kafka-esque bureaucracy things going on here. So Carl gets his HUD, he gets his menu, he opens some loot boxes. And within these loot boxes is this little item for a cat, some kind of like enchanted pet food. To which he feeds Donut under the impression that, well, you know, a lot of different things could happen. Some of them are bad, but he might as well do it because Donut's just going to be a liability since, you know, she's a cat and doesn't listen well and has all these quirky cat personality traits. And very disturbingly, the cat falls into a pile of liquid goo. and then is recombined as the exact same
same cat again.
The exact same cat.
Which is kind of funny.
Well, yeah, and then she can talk.
But she can talk.
She can talk. She talks in this British aristocrat kind of accent.
American who watches a lot of Doctor Who's idea of what a like a prim and proper British person might sound like.
Right. Kind of like a Peter Blair, but like the cat version.
Yeah. Something else, or two other little details we learned from Mordecai that I think are sort of important, is that no one has ever made it past the 13th out of 18 total floors in one of Borant's Dungeon Crawler World runs. This game show, it like rotates. The responsibility to run it rotates between different entities every season. And Borant's is infamous or famous from a viewer's perspective for being really entertaining, but infamous from the various non-surviving worlds' point of views because no one's ever made it past the 13th floor.
Right.
And part of the reason that happens is because once you make it to the later floors, Borant might offer you some kind of deal where you survive and get pulled out of the dungeon, but basically enter like an indentured servitude for them for a certain number of seasons.
Which is Mordecai's situation.
Which is what happened to Mordecai. He made it to floor 10. They were like, you can become a guild master and run guilds for whatever number of seasons, and then after that you'll be allowed to go free.
And that was another little like world building detail that I just love. This book has so many crumbs of gold that I just love amidst so much else.
Yep.
And they were talking about like other companies that just do basically the Hunger Games. There's something about a gorilla planet being forced to fight in some basically a gladiatorial arena, like the entire population.
And that one didn't go so well.
So there's like, but like Borant is also kind of a shitty company. Like they have all of their own problems. So it's so juicy to me. It's so juicy to me. But we get drip fed this information.
Right. And I think, unfortunately, I like that it is drip-fed, to be clear, but the fact that so much of it will be delivered in this format where we are literally standing in a room, Carl and Mordecai, just talking about this is, like, deeply uninteresting. It sort of feels like somebody copy-pasted the world-building document into quotes and just decided what scene it would go in.
It's exactly like that. Like I said, when I started this book, I freaking hated it. I was so mad at this scene because they have to talk about like clicking the X button to get out of your mini map and how to navigate a mini map. Again, things that are either second nature to a gamer or like so obvious.
Never say that word again.
or an epic gamer or so obvious to like a non-game playing person that it's just not worth the digression.
And there's like weird little growing pains too, where it feels like the book is figuring out its own rules because like to go with the clicking X example, Carl realizes that you can mentally drag a cursor over to the X and click it, or you can just kind of will the window away and it'll go away even faster. And it's like, why couldn't we just have him will it away to begin with?
Right.
Like, I don't think we need these little hiccups.
Right. So basically what we have, as we mentioned, Carl is still in his boxers. He's got a leather jacket and he's effectively barefoot. He loses the Crocs somehow.
Right.
And now Princess Donut can talk and she's going to be spec'd into kind of like a magician class. And Carl's just going to be punching and kicking the whole time.
Yeah. Donut is what we in the Fire Emblem fandom call kind of a Yagin. It's a unit that starts with absurdly high base stats so that she can like tank early enemies, but she has a cap on her growths, which means that it'll be harder and harder for her to become stronger later in the game.
Right.
So right now she's really overpowered and like a huge asset, but there's sort of like a sword or, if you'll excuse the Fire Emblem joke, a lance of Damocles dangling above her where it's like, okay, like later on she might become a liability and then what will we do?
Right. So they just go back into the dungeon. It is exactly Pokemon Mystery Dungeon rules. Now that I think about it, you just walk around, try to find a staircase, and you have to do it within a certain amount of hours before the entire level collapses. And if you're still in it, you'll die.
Right.
But there's a little bit of a game of chicken because if you go through the gate at like 6 hours before or earlier, you just stay in stasis. But if you go before 6 hours, you get a head start and you get more views or whatever. So there's a little bit of like a game to play. They can't just rush the staircase and then just go to the next level.
There's another little bit of a wrinkle too, because even as they're trying to wrestle with all of these mechanics, they also learn that they're being observed, right? Like this is a game show.
Right.
And you can win on later floors patrons who will pay for your success, essentially.
Right.
Like the Hunger Games a bit. Like, they can give you really good loot boxes.
Yeah.
You can get loot boxes other ways too, like by killing bosses, but the best items are reserved for boxes delivered by patrons, which are not typically individuals, the book says. They're like entities, like corporations or, I don't know, influencers or whatever.
Sure.
So even as they're trying to figure out how to actually play the game, they also are trying to figure out how can they become interesting characters that will be worth paying to see survive.
Right. And Donut will be more interested in this than
Yes.
Carl. Carl is so an everyman. He's not a blank slate character. Like, there's a lot to him. I mean, he's not anything deep. Like, he's a hero. He doesn't like bullies.
Yeah.
You know, he's trained.
He will
in
not be broken.
He will not be broken. That's his catchphrase. He's more trained in hand-to-hand combat, and he's kind of a nerd, so he understands these concepts more implicitly than others might. So I don't hate being in his head, but there's not much else to him. Like, he's just going to be like an action hero.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all he needs to be. There's this weird intercessory period where they go to safe rooms. There's a little man behind the corner, Tally, who's like a Kekleon or whatever. I don't know what he was, a gnome.
Yeah, there's like a gnome with a hilarious Russian accent.
Yeah, because it's like a Eastern European or Polish fast food restaurant, and this was like the first little glitter of interest that I had, because, you know, it's one thing to draw from human mythology and stuff and like have goblins, but when you just see something grotesquely reconstituted into part of a game show that used to be part of the Earth, there's something there.
It's a little mocking. It's like, oh, this like character that used to be familiar and comforting and like part of your fantasy races and your mythology is now like real, but also like not under your control.
Right. Yeah. So it starts to kind of reel me in, and then there's just more grinding.
Lots of grinding.
We get more learning. Like, they're punching stuff. They're learning how to cast missiles, and this just kind of goes on and on. We get item descriptions. We get EXP stat points.
Right. Carl keeps not getting pants in his loot boxes and not getting weapons.
Right.
So he ends up punching a lot of stuff and kicking a lot of stuff. And meanwhile, Donut ends up like firing magic missile a million times.
Right. So the very balanced party there.
Yeah.
In addition to like the mook things, like the goblins or little
Roaches.
jellyfish or roaches, just these little like level 1 enemies, there are bosses, which are further subdivided into neighborhood boss, borough boss, legendary
city boss, district boss.
That sounds right. Yeah, just increasing levels of
civilization.
I
don't know.
So their first boss is a woman named the Hoarder.
Yeah.
Who is just like this grotesque, mutated.
She appears to be a human woman, but like scaled up to like horrifying size.
Yeah.
And she's in this room that Carl thinks was like taken from somewhere underground in Spain, because there's like signage that's in Spanish, right?
Yeah. Or Latin America or wherever you
speak
speak
Spanish. Okay, maybe it was South America.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter necessarily, because that's part of the horror and the ambiguity.
Right.
And she's supposed to lampoon the concept of hoarding, given the name, I guess.
Yeah. The room is full of garbage.
Yeah, the room is
she
full
vomits up roaches.
Yeah. And I don't speak Spanish, but I listen to enough Pedro Infante to know that she's like begging for help. Like, she has some level of sentience. She was a human woman before.
Yeah.
And this is where I started to care. This is where I was like, holy shit, this is terrible. This is so terrible / pause. Like, this is so compelling that this horrible faceless company is reconstituting people for weird, grotesque entertainment. And from there, it's just a boss battle. You know, they punch it a lot and they fight all the minions. And
she falls over dead.
She falls over dead, and they get a little mini map of the area. So it's like the action isn't doing anything for me, but the premise is just immaculate. Like, I'm so into this. I don't really want to waste your time talking about like why I like Half-Life 2, but it's the exact same thing, is seeing like how alien entities will repurpose things that they vaguely understand from this race that they care nothing about and barely even wanted to spare in the first place.
Yeah, it really drives home the like smallness of humanity in the face of this like intergalactic bureaucracy. Like, to them, we are like entertainment to be tinkered with. It reminded me of like Darkest Dungeon a lot, honestly, helped along by the fact that the lady is like very large and in this like rotten, disgusting place that was pretty well described, I feel like. Yeah, this part made me hopeful. Like, maybe we're going to do something with this like tiny man in the face of insurmountable odds thing, and we'll see.
We'll see. We kind of do, and we just kind of keep it a straight line. So you may be wondering, like, who else human-wise, or I guess also cat or other creature-wise, is in the dungeon with them. So, like, the first floor is, I think, implied to be just the entire area of the earth, because there's like places in New Zealand, and so like it's just subterranean.
It loosely corresponds to like actual geographical boundaries,
right? So the people that they are like right next to are going to be from Seattle or the Washington area. And there's a couple of different people that feel like seeds for future books. There's some like ninja, not like literally a ninja, but some extremely agile woman with 2 dogs who kills a bunch of stuff really well. There's an entire legion of people from Africa called Le Mouvement that are like came in there with machine guns and are kind of making quick work of everything, but keep having infighting. And then there's this other guy, Frank Q, who is just like also a murderer, but a more intimate and sinister murderer than the 2 dogs woman.
Right. They happen across him because they find a dead body, and it's the first other human that they've seen, right?
Yeah.
It's like a nude woman, and so they're like, what the fuck happened? And they see that they can see that she was killed by Frank Q, right? Like, it says it on like when they inspect her thing.
And they end up like running into him at this safe zone. They're presumably like fine, like it's the round table hold or whatever, and they get to talking, and like Frank starts to talk about he was an ICE agent and was trying to
the woman was like a fugitive,
right,
and he was just trying to bring her to justice,
right? And I was super interested in this little exchange they had, because Carl's calling BS mentally, but kind of playing along, and he's using the secret chat system to tell Princess Donut not to react to anything. And he's noticing all of these weird inconsistencies, like he was in the women's bathroom camping out for some reason, and lo and behold, Frank tries to murder him with his little partner Minifred or Melody or something.
Yeah, some other lady.
Some other lady was there, came up behind him with the gun. But of course, it's a safe zone, so you get like frozen. There's like a 3-strike system.
Yeah.
And I just loved that. It was so cool seeing Carl both understand the mechanics enough to like know that he will ultimately be safe in this situation, and also use like deductive reasoning, like Powerless style, to read through lies and kind of understand Frank's true intention. And it ultimately results in them running away and trying to set up a trap for them.
It was so bizarre to me how intelligent and like perceptive Carl becomes in that exchange with Frank, where he, but not Donut, who is the more like socially intelligent one, is able to figure out that Frank is lying, and in what particular way he is lying. That's not really a critique. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but if that was going to be part of Carl's character, like I wanted hints of it earlier so that it didn't feel so abrupt, because it added some depth to him that I really appreciated, and I felt like I was prepared to believe it sort of ineffably, but the way that it just happened, and it doesn't come back outside of situations like this, left me like a little confused.
Yeah, it definitely is situationally employed, but I found the dichotomy between him and Donut to be pretty sound.
Yeah, the dichotomy is enjoyable.
Yeah, Donut is like more charming, but she's also more naive and easily swayed. Frank's giving this whole spiel about, his
sob story.
And Donut's like, "Oh, you poor man, how could this ever happen to you?" But then later on, she'll be more charming than Carl. So it's this really nice synthesis of different forms of perception and social ability that I thought was pretty neat.
I think this happens a little bit before the encounter with Frank and Maggie. Maggie? Yeah. Maggie. But they go back to the goblin camp, and they trade for a bike.
Yes.
And this is going to be important later.
The goblin encounters is another place where the little nugget started to come into play, because through some other like little encounter that they had or a loot box, Carl now has this anti-goblin tattoo that marks him as a friend, or Donut does, or whoever.
Yeah, like Donut's able to like charm them too because of her super high charisma, and so they are able to walk into the goblin camp and just like chat with them as though they were friendly NPCs.
Right, and it leads to a lot of like little glimpses into their whole thing, because they're also like indentured prisoners of the Borant Corporation as well.
I liked this because there's like almost a religious quality with which the goblins like sway the Borant Corporation into proving that they're interesting enough that they can also move down a floor. Because if they move down enough floors, then eventually after enough seasons, they'll actually be able to be let go as well.
Right.
So they're like, they're having this exodus, or like they're trying to get this exodus going, that I was like, oh, that's really interesting.
And all of this is buried in these weird sexy jokes about the goblin shamankas, these female high leveled goblins are like hitting on Carl.
Yeah.
It's just weird. They get a bike out of it through some like little charm that that Donut does.
Yeah.
And then they decide to murder all of the goblins ever.
Yeah.
We need the EXP.
There's like a boss deeper in the goblin encampment, and they have a bunch of dynamite that I think they looted partly from this encounter and partly from the initial encounter with the killdozer. And so they're like, well, what if we just use all this? And they like throw it all into the boss room and wipe it out.
Right when he's about to, set fire to the ignition, Donut's like, oh wait, I think I see babies in there.
Yeah.
And it just explodes.
Yeah.
And it leads to this little thing is like, oh my god, I murdered children. And I don't know, something tonally is very interesting. It's where the dark humor and like the seriousness really start to chafe against each other, because a lot of this is supposed to be like darkly funny, but then Carl does have some like deep and poignant and necessary reflection on like, is it morally right to kill these people who would have killed me, since we're both kind of prisoners of this entity? So there's I like it and I don't,
Right. It's like, I like that we broached this topic because it's inherently interesting, but I don't like that we just move on and like don't actually make any effort to explore it or resolve it.
So after some more grinding item descriptions and stat points, they start to happen upon spray painted little signs pointing to safety or pointing to a new group,
right?
Which they're kind of like a little bit hesitant to follow given the whole Frank encounter.
Yeah, like, could this be a trap?
Right.
Or what if we get there and they're all dead and it's like tragic?
Right. So they just goblin chopper their way over there, and it's this group of like very old people and nurses from the Meadowlark Hospital who had, through their own comedy of errors, been outside, I think because of like a fire alarm or something.
Yeah, well, somebody had set a fire at just the right time.
Right.
And because of that, they were all outside.
Right. This woman who is so mysterious, who has a shopping cart.
Yeah.
Agatha.
Yeah, she's this, apparently homeless. Like, the characters identify her as such, and she is like a little flighty.
Yeah. And then the rest of them are like nurses. So they've just been shepherding these old people around pretty futilely for the entirety of the game so far, and are just trying to get as deep as possible. And, there's some question as to the morality and the necessity of doing something like that. But this is our new group of friends. I think there's only one character that really matters there, in my opinion, Chris, who's kind of like their Carl. He's just the most charismatic guy there, who kind of takes the front there.
Him and like another guy who is his brother or cousin or coworker or something. They were like maintenance guys that just happened to be working late because some extra work needed to be done. And gosh darn it, they're just some real salt of the earth fellers,
Yeah, there's a lot of like giant neon signs saying these are the good guys. This is the emotional core of the story.
Except that it isn't, because these guys have no personality whatsoever.
So they're right by a staircase, but there's a bit of a problem. It's guarded by a super duper boss.
Right. So not all staircases are guarded by bosses. Like, conceivably they could look elsewhere, but they've got this train of people who are disabled. Like, some of them like would have a hugely hard time getting anywhere else.
Right. And floor 1 is like for all intents and purposes, literally the area of the Earth one level down. So
Right.
it's not guaranteed that they'll find anything in time.
Yeah.
So basically, they need to start grinding.
Yay!
And boy,
More
do
grinding.
There's some lizard people. They fight this boss called the Juicer, who's a grotesque version of a gym rat.
Yeah.
I liked this scene in that there was more peril than had been there hitherto. Donut gets grievously wounded after like this really cool, awesome slash attack that she did. So, I'm kind of into it, but the entire time I'm thinking like these guys are just grinding for EXP. Like,
Yeah, they are.
This is not.
It's a filler episode.
Right. This is so much a filler episode.
So at this point, they head back to the group and they start trying to plan for a way to kill this boss.
Yeah.
Because not only is this boss like just numerically very strong, it also appears to have some kind of like gimmick to its arena. They can see inside that there's like some sort of like spherical thing like moving around this maze. And I believe that the group of older folks had sent somebody in ahead, right, to try and see like what the deal was, but the boss appears to be like in a separate instance of the world almost. Like, it's not like Dark Souls where if you can see the boss through a window and you like plink at it with enough arrows it'll die,
right?
Like that room exists separately. So whoever went in there, they got trapped because I think some drawbridges or like portcullises closed. So like not only were they physically separated, but like they were also just like in a different plane, basically, and they were killed.
Right.
So the group is like trying to suss out like what can they do to kill this thing, and also like how do we cope with the fact that like the arena itself has a gimmick and we don't even really know what it is and we can't interact with it from out here. And I thought that was pretty interesting because like that's a video gamey thing, but it also gives the characters a chance to like think about something, kind of talk, strategize, discuss the game's mechanics that they've learned about so far, like apply what they've learned, which makes sense narratively, but also mechanically in a video game. Like something is kind of starting to bubble here. Like I feel it cooking a little bit.
They're not grinding for EXP, which is in this book my barometer for good. So
basically all of the characters who like have weapons and levels and stats, which is mostly the younger people, the nurses, Carl, Donut, whatever. They decide that they are going to build this like structure and try to like deflect the boss.
Right. A speed bump
For the ball to see if they can get it to stop, and then they'll poke it because they still don't really know what it is.
Yeah, there's a little clever analog created with like a big Penske truck going under an undersized bridge and getting like sheared the top off of, which was very, very helpful in conceiving of the scene because they they go through the portal and then they start building it, and it's rather opaque. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so maybe it's not opaque for some people, but I was just like, okay, so what are they building exactly? But the metaphor helped.
Yeah, like, and the thing that I thought was cool is that their plan doesn't work in the way that they expected, but it does still work. Like, they'd wanted to create a speed bump, like Andrew said, but that it can't be, it has so much like inertia and density that it can't just like stop. So they end up like sort of raising the structure, which if you're wondering what they built that out of, by the way, they learned this sort of exploit to the inventory system where you can store like endless environmental physics objects. So like wardrobes, pieces of wood from the goblin camp, stone, whatever. So that's what they build the structure out of. It's sort of like Fortnite a little bit, actually.
It's exactly like Fortnite. Like they're just like massive building this thing.
And the ceiling on the boss room turns out to be low enough that their structure like wedges the boss in between their structure and the ceiling. And lo and behold, as they're poking it with their spears, the ball pops. And it turns out to be a bunch of like humanoid pig-like enemies that are in some kind of like orgiastic post-marital ritual that they do, where like the wedded couple is like the center of the orb, I think, and like all the party goers are on the outer layers, and they form a ball and they roll around the countryside on their home planet, but in the dungeon, it's in the dungeon.
Right. So now the ball has become like a dozen orcs, and some of them are dressed up as dominatrices, and it's just like, okay, we're gonna kill all the pigmen now.
They kill all the pigmen and they like splatter their guts everywhere, and it's very visceral. One thing I will say is that if you like gore, I think the gore in this novel is pretty good. I don't like gore, but I can recognize that it has a certain viscerality to it in this novel.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it out as a good thing. I wouldn't be like, come here for gore, but I didn't hate it. It was pretty much what I expected it to be, because it's supposed to be like this crazy blood sport.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that felt it, because there's like some stuff that like there were some moments where I was like, oh, that kind of like when they're in the boss fight with the juicer. That's the name of the gym guy, right? They like throw the plates at him, and I was like, oh, that would like really hurt, you know? Or like the pressure on the pig ball, and
so
then
you
it
said,
pops
ooh,
open.
that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, I did.
He'll feel that in the morning. Okay, so they kill all the pork people.
Yeah.
At one point, Carl had picked up the shopping cart, Agatha's shopping cart, and added it to his inventory because it was just a hindrance or whatever.
She joined them in the boss fight even though she wasn't supposed to, and like that momentarily created stress inside their structure because there were too many people and one of them wasn't helping.
Right. So they get through the gate and then go to level 2.
That's
but
right. But wait, they're intercepted.
It's time for the Hunger Games Powerless interview montage. Not montage. It's actually cool.
Way better than Powerless's interview.
It's actually good. I'm just being mean for no reason. Only Carl and Donut, because they have been just getting all the buzz ever for their exploits thus far.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a talk show. It's any talk show you've ever seen before, but the host is named Odette, and she is this very upsettingly described mantis / crab woman with very large breasts, and at least a paragraph is spent describing the size and shape.
And this is not the only time this happens, for what it's worth. This is like 3, I think, because the Shamankas get this treatment. And the pig ladies briefly. And the hoarder also gets like a weird... There's something going on in this book where like when a woman needs to be both grotesque and sexy...
Yeah, that's exactly where they go for.
Yeah.
We will leave that for another section, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Odette, the interest in this scene comes from the character dynamics here, because, Carl's basically told to shut up, and then Donut runs the show, which makes so much sense for her character.
Yeah, this was great.
Because she was a show cat. I was like, holy shit, this dumb, silly joke about this fancy Persian cat actually came to fruition. And she's like, oh, hello, crowd. Aren't you so excited to see me? And they're just like,
yeah, how's it feel to be in the presence of royalty?
Right. And they're just eating it up. And it's great. It's great. After the little talk show where they just get all these followers or future followers, because it's going to be a while before that's enabled for whatever mechanics reason.
But this is great advertising this early in the game. There's still millions of people alive at this point. So the fact that they were selected in for one of the most popular shows, like this bodes very well for them.
Right. After the show, everything kind of fades out, and then Odette's still there and kicks out her little AI assistant who's kind of creepily described. And she's like, listen, I am a very important character in a book that is not this one, and I am connected to Mordecai, who is also an important character in every book but this one. And so just tell Mordecai that we will have a plot beat together very, very soon.
And she also says, like, don't trust anyone if you don't trust them.
Right.
What she actually says is don't trust anybody whose intentions you don't know fully. But like that's a ridiculous standard. So it's like don't trust people that you don't trust.
It's like what do they stand to gain?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting concept. That there may be some drama about this in book 2, where Mordecai's success is only based off of whether they get to floor 4.
Yeah.
So is Mordecai going to stop caring or become an antagonistic figure after floor 4? There's I get why these seeds are being laid, but it's a little bit nakedly telegraphed.
It is. You can really, really see the insides of the Springtrap suit on this one. You can see exactly how it's going to crush those kids.
So we get to floor 2, and I'm kind of excited. Our heroes are kind of riding high. They got some followers on the way. And, everything is going to be different from here on out.
Yeah.
There's going to be...
Less grinding.
Any one of those 4 things. It turns out there's none of those 4 things. This is another grid-shaped generic cave, but this one is full of, like, worms, little caterpillars that eat corpses, and leprechaun hillbillies who make moonshine.
God.
Distantly related to the fire-breathing meth llamas from floor 1.
We can talk about this book's relationship to, I don't know, people from the Appalachian South and substance use at a later time.
Right.
We'll just flag those for now.
Or just this book's definition of comedy writ large.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we'll fold that in there.
So the only thing that comes out of this little grinding session is that Carl crafts his first item, which is a Molotov cocktail made out of the moonshine and the torches, of which Donut has been getting a numerous amount of.
Right, because as they learn, the AI that awards them the items in the loot boxes will sort of like subtly do things to mess with you or do whatever will cause you to have a reaction that's profitable for the show. So in Donut's case, she gets annoyed every time she gets torches, so the AI keeps giving her lots of torches.
Right.
This is also about the point, I don't know if it's in this safe room, but they go into a lot of safe rooms in between grinding in this. Is this even an arc? It's more of like a straight line.
This floor.
But it's not a floor. Well, it's not the whole floor.
The set of floors. I don't know, whatever.
This hallway. They watch an episode of the show where they killed the pig ball, and they notice not only does the camera work seem to be like noticeably avoiding showing Agatha, but there's even a moment where like she should have been on screen because the shot is like from inside their little structure or something like that, and she's just not there.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she's also gone, by the way, at this point. She's no longer with them.
Yeah, she ran ahead.
She wandered off at some point while Donut and Carl were being interviewed.
And at this point, they only kind of like interstitially check in with the Meadowlark people. They're kind of doing their own thing mostly. They meet they fight some Karen
it's
MLM.
Crack Karen.
Well, that's the boss,
Yeah.
but who the underlings are like MLM goblins.
They're
MLM
fairies. Yeah.
Whatever little fey creatures.
Yeah.
And you know, that's as funny as it sounds on the 10. The Krakaren clone, was there anything interesting about that? They fight another boss.
They fight a boss, and Carl almost dies in this fight.
But he learns that he has this crafting table, which either by a bug or intentionally is invulnerable.
Right, because it's not meant to be placed in the game world. It's meant to be placed only in like an expanded safe room that you can unlock later, where you can like, I don't know, do all your crafting and cosmetics modification or whatever.
And this is like a little bit of ambiguity, like it works now, but are they going to patch it when they notice it? Because along, there's been an automated message saying all the patch notes, and usually it's just comedy, like, oh, we're sorry that the toilets exploded and we've undone the suck feature on the toilets. It's just like, okay.
Around this time, they go back to like a guild hall and they talk to Mordecai, and they're like, hey, Odette was like kind of talking about you a lot, and like she wanted to talk to you about something, and Mordecai's like, oh, we have beef and we'll work that beef out in a later book.
And then the next thing we know, Zev appears. Zev is part of the fish people race that kind of own the Borant company and or control the political party that owns the Borant company. There's some interrelation there.
Yeah.
And Zev is like one of the lesser admins, so she's a little bit more flippant. At first we're kind of nervous about her because you're not even supposed to like insult admins or they'll explode you or whatever, but Zev, we can instantly tell, is a more friendly figure. She starts to talk about how much she loves Gossip Girl.
Which Donut also likes.
So she's a girl's girl. Basically, she's like, hey, I'm your assigned admin. You'll be hearing from me more and more. I've got you on this new show. It's going to be fun in a couple hours. Don't worry about it. You're going to get a gift out of it. So it's going to be worth it.
She slips some interesting world building details too. Like, so apparently her family is being held like hostage by the company or by the party, which may or may not be synonymous, which is why like she, although she's like a member of their species, is like hostile to them, which I just thought was inherently cool, because a lot of books like this, Earth gets to be like super diverse, right? But all the aliens of race A belong to the same government. They're all totally in line with like their own society. Like there's little variation between them. But apparently there's like not just hierarchy in this society, but like they also like hate each other in the way that humans sometimes hate each other.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, there's like the setup for potential like future conflict within the corporation that's very tantalizing.
And I think that's kind of what makes Zev charming. I was giving her shit for the Gossip Girl thing, but there was something about her that just kind of worked for me. I was just like, okay, this is our new little buddy that we'll see from time to time.
Apparently also the Barant Corporation and or the party is like bankrupt and in debt to a bunch of people. And so if this season of Dungeon Crawler World doesn't go well, they could be in really deep shit. But the fact that they are out of funds is also why there have been a lot of bugs, like the aforementioned toilets having a suck feature or something.
Yeah. So it's basically like the shittiest possible company, but it's so cool. Like so much is hanging in the balance that the reader and Carl can like not even fathom.
Right.
Which helps in a lot of places where these things start to come up, and I can start to not worry about the different stats of the mobs.
Right. I would rather worry about my own inability to comprehend the immensity of the forces aligned against them than worry about not understanding Carl's intuition stat.
Yeah, exactly.
One of these things might actually enhance my life in some way, right? You know?
So we check back in on our Meadowlark friends who have jerry-rigged a parade float basically out of, I don't know, random goblin artifacts to drag around all the old people. There's been talks here and there from the announcements that they really don't like it when people publicly urinate. Like in all the safe rooms, there have been bathrooms because of, I don't know, censors and ratings and whatever.
Right.
Which is funny. But of course, you know, these old people, some of them aren't fully there.
And one guy is like kind of a nasty guy. Like he's a sex pest, and he also like, I don't know,
I think they're all sex pests. All the old people and then all people.
All people are sex pests.
Anyways, old Mr. Pervert whips out his wee-wee and starts to piss on a wall. And then per the warning from the announcement, a level 99 elemental master appears.
Not an orb,
not
thankfully.
An orb. Not an
no,
orb.
Instead, it's a big red honey badger.
Right, and
because honey badgers are funny, or were like 20 years ago.
They don't give a shit.
They don't. I don't think that's what the phrase was.
Isn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyways.
I think it's honey badger don't care.
Yeah, honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit.
Oh, there's a second part. I'm sorry.
Isn't there? I don't know. Someone who is familiar
I forgot the second line of
2000s.
couplet. That's my bad.
It is a demon honey badger thing. It is hex code FFFFF. Yeah, 6 Fs. And
it's I like the idea of it just being like recolored red, like it's in Scribble Knots. Like you just assigned the adjective red to it.
I don't know the hex code for red. I don't think it's F all the way through. Anyways,
it's R, right?
It instantly like vaporizes the old man and one of the nurses with his claws and just begins this crazy like Scooby-Doo chase.
Yeah, they're going in and out of hallways that are across from each other.
And then they end up in a safe room. And then, so if a hostile mob enters a safe room, it gets teleported somewhere random. So they're like,
it gets teleported somewhere random within a range of blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah feet. And it takes approximately blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah seconds for it to return to their location.
Which means that they have to be clever about
That was where I was feeling the elemental masters. I mean, this isn't the only time something like this has happened, but not just when the numbers are like about stats, but when like they're sussing out like a mechanic for one thing, like how many feet away will the monster be teleported when it enters a safe room, and like given its speed, like how fast will it reach us again? So how long do we have to get everybody together and out the door?
Can we quit to the main menu and de-aggro it enough to sneak around and fast travel?
To get Radagon Source Seal.
To get Radagon Source Seal, exactly. So they do that. They jerry-rig yet another cool invention. They use the chopper and like make a little ramp for bombs.
Yeah.
And Molotov cocktails. And from there, it feels like a video game where
it's like a scripted action sequence.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you know, you have to press X at the exact right time in order for the bomb to roll down and like catch the demon in the right place. Yep. But like it's level 99, so it's not really killing it that quickly. So they devise this kind of like Hail Mary solution where they exploit this rule of the game where any mob who tries to descend the stairs is just vaporized.
Right. When the goblins are like, oh, we want to go down to a lower floor, they're like, why don't you? And it's like, because we would be killed.
Exactly. So they do that, and then they don't get any EXP because it was not technically a slaying. So they don't get the 99 souls or whatever they need to level up to whatever. It's a resounding success, and they are ready to proceed to grind some more.
Yeah.
There was this weird thing right before the monster was summoned where Zev was chatting through admin chat and like warned them that something terrible was going to happen. And then later on they get a chat from another admin, a more sinister admin, who's like, you need to get on this show that's not the show that you signed up for, and it's a different one. It's a new demographic.
Yeah. And it's going to happen right now.
It's going to happen right now. So they go there.
Yeah. They're warped into yet another green room. This one has a noticeably different vibe from the previous one. That one was very well equipped. It was cushy.
Right.
Something about this one feels a little bit less... I don't know, taken care of. There's less fruit available in the fruit bowl, I think.
Yeah, something like that. There may not have been a fruit bowl.
There might not even have been a fruit bowl, and can you imagine?
Can you imagine
the gall?
And all of the people in the crowd are children, and they also seem very, very cruel, like little gross, mean boys.
Right, they're like I don't know, tween boys.
Tween boys who are like
glurp, 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 glurp.
Because the guy, the host is an orc, and he's like calls them little piggies and tells them to suck on it.
He's called the Maestro. And he's basically like a red pill influencer from space.
Yes, he's very unpleasant little man. So this is a panel interview, and for some fog of war double blind drama reason, they can't see the other 4 people that are with them until the Maestro is like, we're gonna do a segment called Death Watch, and he's like plucked 2 people who we don't know, who were like right about to die. They were being surrounded by monsters, and
one of their friends had already been
killed. And they do like this dumb game show where you have to guess who dies and who doesn't, and
but Carl's like a super cool hero, so like he flippantly like makes fun of the game and like embarrasses the Maestro on his own show.
He's like, put me in there, you won't.
And of course that plays really well to the audience.
Right. And then the Maestro gets all flustered, and Carl has this internal monologue about you can always defeat a bully by making him talk, and just kind of epically trolls him. Which is a word that they use, not epically to be fair, but they do say troll.
Yeah.
So
rage bait would have been more specific in this situation.
Right. The 2 people get saved, like Carl tells them how to escape the situation, which they do once they teleport back. And the other 2 guests are Frank and Mindy or whatever. And they're not corporeally together, but there's all this tension because they hate each other. So walk me through this whole, what was the actual situation where
oh my god. Yeah, so they backfill exposition that like attempts to justify why Frank and Mindy were killing people, and it involves them having a child that they were escorting around.
Right.
And it doesn't really matter. The main thing that's actually important is that the child has been noticeably absent this whole time.
Right.
And at one point, it was the point when Mindy and Frank were frozen in the safe room because they had attacked Carl. Carl and Donut left behind some explosives that were near their exploding limit. Like not in like a chronological sense, but like some explosives have this mechanic where the more they're interacted with, the more likely they are to explode just sort of randomly.
Right.
And so they left behind ones that had like 1 interaction left. And we never found out what happened with that. But it turns out that they did go off and explode on Frank and Maggie, but they also killed the child. And so Carl is like responsible for the kid's death indirectly.
The one who killed the child was Frey. Yeah, because she was grievously
wounded, and although you can be healed in the dungeon, you can't like regrow limbs. It won't cure like chronic illnesses.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Frank says, in this world, it's kill or be killed. He, or whatever Flowey says. That's kind of just it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll be back in book 2 to really be a thorn in your side.
Because he's a character in Dungeon Crawler Carl book 1, the maestro is like, hey, Donut, you have that piece of loot equipped that like embroils you in my subquest, but it won't matter until floor 10, which you'll never get to because you're gonna die.
Right. Because he's part of some like noble family indirectly associated with...
His noble family is the rivals of the noble family that Donut's item like assigns her to or something, or makes her an enemy of, which means that they will invariably be forced to clash in like the subplot about like dynastic succession on floor 10 or something like that. Oh my god.
So the maestro gives Carl a box with shoes,
the promised prize, which are ironic,
which he can't use because now all of his stats are based off of being barefoot, and every time he gets a foot related achievement, the voice of the announcer or whatever gets all seductive, quote unquote. So that's nice.
Yeah, and he even gets like a pedicure set so that he can keep his feet his piggies all squeaky clean. And I don't mean the ball of pigs.
Well, and speaking of piggies, this is a resounding success for Carl. Indeed. He gets a lot of attention for this, including in the form of video fan fiction, which are called snicks in this world. Like you snicker, like it's funny.
Oh, I thought it was like just because it was a short form video, like that was the term for it. But maybe it's because they're like parodical.
I don't know. Anyways, it depicts Carl and the maestro in a moment of passion.
Of carnal intimacy.
In a moment of carnal intimacy in which the maestro is receiving, which is a huge blow
it's such
to
a humiliation.
The red-pilled influencer world. But this is great for Carl. Apparently it's like really realistic, and this has to be some buried lead because multiple characters are like, oh, I thought it was real. Are you sure you didn't actually have sex with the maestro?
And is your dick really that big?
Right.
So they find a room with a bunch of pets in cages.
A kennel. These are like dingoes.
Yeah.
Death dingoes. Danger dingoes.
Danger dingoes.
I think it's danger dingoes.
Which is getting dangerously close to being the name of a Mother 3 enemy, which I don't appreciate. I don't want the Mother 3 brain cell in my brain and the Dungeon Crawler Carl to like contaminate one another, because one of those things I care deeply about.
That's going to be bad.
Oh, but to get there, they have to fight a lay epic random hamster boss that's like cute, but then it's like evil or something.
Yeah, that's Ralph, the frenzied gerbil.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be like a way harder boss fight, but he gives like little pet cookies to all of the dingoes to de-aggro them, and once they get released, which was supposed to be like part of the Zerg rush, they just turn on their masters, but the gerbil just keeps on fighting them, and I'm sure that's going to look so awesome and funny. People are going to do the chicken jockey thing when the movie comes out, and Ralph the frenzied gerbil comes out. I'm calling it here. People are going to be throwing popcorn and bringing gerbil. Oh, please don't bring gerbils into the theater. Anyways, so
they get a pet.
They get a pet.
It's like I thought it was like avian.
I thought it was a cockatrice because it's described as like this feathered biped with a long tail and like sharp teeth. But
it's actually a raptor, like a dinosaur.
It's a velociraptor. Yeah.
It's like that one Pokemon.
Right. It's like that one Pokemon.
Isn't there one that's like a bird dinosaur?
Archaeopteryx.
Okay.
I never know how to say it.
But that one flies, right? So I guess it's not like that.
I don't think it's like that. Comment what Pokemon it's like. I don't fucking know.
Comment. Glurp, 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 glurp.
glurp. Anyways, so and then need I remind you that we are in what's supposed to be like
Act 3.
The day
we're in Act 3 of Act 3, my friend. Right? And you might be noticing that some rather critical narrative arc elements haven't exactly materialized.
You might have noticed that we've just been dryly summaring events in a certain order.
It's almost like this book is a sequence of things sort of just happening.
Right. So let's wrap this up. They end up kind of taming the velociraptor, whom they name Mongo.
Yep.
It's really Princess Donut's pet more than anything, because she's the one that tames it and has like this maternal attachment.
But it loves to bite her.
It loves
physical
divider.
comedy.
Right. And then Carl gains some perk that like establishes his item use history or his inventory history, and he notices some items that he's never seen before.
Yeah.
This strange pulse rifle and another thing, I don't remember what it was.
Some other obscure piece of tech.
Yeah, a machine of some origin. And he's like,
where is that in my inventory? It could
Right.
be in any one of the various crates and things that I picked up along the way. But
Right.
the automatic subcategorizing thing like pulled it out of there.
And then he's like, well, that's not important right now. And they walk through to the floor 3, and the book ends. The book has ended.
The book's over.
The book is over.
There aren't any more pages to turn.
There are...
The scroll on my tablet said, nope, that's all.
To be fair, there's like an epilogue where there's a little interview between them and Odette, and then they have another alone time, and they're like, don't respec into something, but I can't tell you what, or it's going to make someone mad.
Yeah.
So...
and stay human. Don't pick a different race because you'll lose all of your recognizability.
Right. That's the book. I'm not going to say that's the story because I don't think this was one. But it was a rip-roaring romp through and through to its own detriment.
The end.
The end. Yay!
New achievement. You monster. You've killed an infant. An infant. Okay, unless you're a complete psychopath, we know you probably didn't wake up this morning and tell yourself, today is the day I'm going to slaughter a child. Well, let us put your mind at ease. All children mobs who die within this dungeon don't actually perish, they're just transferred to a holding area where they're safe and treated nicely and gently until they can be reunited with their loving parents at the end of the season. Feel better? Good. Reward. These past 20 seconds, when your conscience started to ease, that was your reward. It was also a lie. That baby is dead, and it's dead because of you. You're totally going to hell. You've received a bronze assholes box.
Oof. Awkward.
Well, Andrew, I think that some of our critiques and suggestions might have started to sort of sneak in through the cracks there at the end of our summary. So let's backpedal a little bit and talk about what's working in Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I think it needs to be said that it's a stroke of genius that Carl is underdressed. Like there's the comedy aspect of it, yes, but it's also does a Die Hard thing where it elevates every physical encounter that he has, at least until he gets the manicure that makes him invulnerable or whatever. But like with the goblin chopper thing, it wasn't just, oh, I drove the goblin motorcycle like I was a badass. It was, I had to like position my legs awkwardly so as to not have my thighs burned, or when he's trying to climb up the killdozer, he's getting cuts on his feet because of the sharp metal. And it made me care so much more about these moments where just otherwise purely physical things that we know exactly what the consequences of would be were happening, that I was like, okay, there's some viscerality to it is I think the best way I could put it.
Yeah, there's like some good tactile grounding, which I think we really need, especially because the environments so often get lost. One mechanical thing I really liked was the skulls next to player names indicating how many fellow players they've killed, because whenever you come across that, it adds like immediate tension. But it can also be interesting because there's a character named Yolanda who has a skull next to her name, and she's one of the nurses that was aiding like the old people. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but she had that skull because she had allowed, or she'd had to euthanize somebody, or they had like died in her arms as she was trying to save them, and so it like counted as a kill.
Yeah, it was something like that. Either way, it wasn't murder. So exactly, when you encounter someone and they have skulls next to their name, you don't necessarily know that this is a bad guy, and that keeps the tension going a lot.
Immediate tension, but it's not always necessarily that they killed someone. So it's like there's two layers of tension, because it's like, are they a threat? And if not, then what happened? Because it was definitely tragic, right?
And the synecdoche of that is really in Frank's character, or Frank's introduction when we first meet him. That tension was so palpable to me, and like all the little moving parts at once was, I felt that so intently. And part of me was kind of being like Donut for a second. I was like, okay, I'm not sure what the bent of this story is, but maybe the message here is that just because you have killed someone doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
Especially in this world where it's kill or be killed.
Right, and so much was telegraphed earlier in the story. I was like, okay, he can't really be an asshole. I'm not mad that he ended up being one, but what I mean is it just raised all of these questions that kept up so much, and little tiny implementations of understandable mechanics that don't require a lot of numbers and a bachelor's degree to understand are really good at like rewarding you with being able to track all of these things. And then when Carl does his little Sherlock Holmes explanation of how he figures it out at the end, it's rewarding. It's like, oh wow, you really did set this up and knock him out.
The Sherlock Holmes thing, as much as I think it's out of character, that's another thing that I am glad that numbers were not present in.
Yes.
Because we could have easily had a version of that scene where it invokes like Carl used his 8 intelligence to suss out this, or like he had to roll a perception check, but instead he just gets to do it.
Yeah.
He just gets to do it.
Matt really used Chekhov's whole arsenal. It was delightful to me how every little thing, even things that I thought were stupid in the moment, came back somehow, or associatively came back somehow, and they learned from these encounters and had payoff to things.
Yeah, Matt does like to set things up to pay them off later, and I think that like he's exploiting just sort of like that technique of commonly commercial fiction, where that itself feels interesting and satisfying. Like a lot of it is deferred to later books, which I understand the strategy of, but I think it's maybe a bit too much. But like, I don't know, I guess if you enjoy just the fact of like remembering a thing that comes back later, and it like, I don't know, it like signals like the pattern recognition, like pleasure center of your brain.
I know what that is. I know what, the red letter media thing. We've done this a million times. You're right. Well, but sometimes I like to sit there and
trying to diplomatically agree with you, even though like I don't really agree. Like conceptually, I see what you're saying.
That's fair.
I'm trying to be a good sport.
I appreciate that. I don't know, though. I don't think that we got the wrong amount of glimpses into the political landscape for book one. The deferrals, the problem with them is that they were so naked, not necessarily that they were there.
And the density of them.
Yeah,
maybe it's not the quantity so much as the density and delivery.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, something about Zev really had a special sauce for me. Even with all of like I love Golden Girls fan fiction. That's so cool. I tried to write one time. I tolerated that so much more than I tolerated Meth Llamas or The Hoarder, because it was just so interesting to me, and it really just played to a way grander, more exciting version of this book than the book that we read.
Yeah, at least in the setup, you get to imagine what it might be, and so for a moment, you get to kind of like write a hypothetical version of the story for yourself, which is not the case with the Meth Llamas, which the novel is just like, sometimes things don't have to make sense.
Right, exactly.
No, literally, like that it says that like we learn early on that these monsters are supposed to be like parodies of Earth culture, but then Mordecai, when asked about the Meth Llamas, is like, well, sometimes shit's just crazy.
Said something like when things are made by committee, there's always going to be some weird stuff.
Which, sort of elegantly folds it back into the world building, but it's still pretty transparently an excuse to just like have a lay epic random llama. Like,
it's still a Meth Llama.
The Ball of Swine boss, I think that really exemplifies like what this book should be in terms of like how it interacts with video games as a medium. I like I was saying during the summary, that like it's scary, so it has like narrative tension, right? Yeah. But the boss concept is creative. The boss interacts with its arena in a way that like evokes the feeling of playing a video game without requiring you to think about numbers. It's like quirky in concept in the way that like I think is in line with this book's sense of humor. We could maybe leave out the BDSM stuff because I feel like that it pushes it like one step too far. Like, not because I'm like offended, just because it's like doing one extra comedic thing just to see like how many times it can poke you before you like get annoyed a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Like you see the way that it's video gamey without it feeling like reading a stat screen.
I think I'm forced to agree with you
Uh-huh.
because I don't know what I would want instead.
Okay.
Because I hated all of the combat. I hated
That's
all
so
of like
funny.
the anything. Pick
That's so fun.
anything. Whenever like someone's not talking about Zev stuff, or even Mordecai every now and then would drop something interesting. There's a lot of things I like, but none of them are these combat focused moments. The moments leading up to it are interesting. The idea of it is interesting.
Yeah.
But and this may just be like lit RPG, just whole cloth is not for me, and that's what we're running up to. But I'm just like, I'm thinking about like the juicer. Like, what did the juicer add thematically?
Well, that's why I'm not referencing the juicer.
I know.
The pig ball references the unstoppable, crushing weight of capitalism. They're swine. They have this inertia. They can be maybe defeated only by banding together, and including even like the socioeconomically most excluded, i.e., Agatha, and like blue collar workers, like nurses and maintenance people that like often don't get the respect that they deserve.
Okay, your argument has swayed me. This is a good scene. I never thought it was a bad scene. It's really hard to care with the tension being a straight flat line.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, you can kind of skim a lot of these because usually the input is the same as the output. Like, there's like, oh, what does it do? Okay, we know what it does, and then Carl and Donut survive and they get a bunch of items. You can basically stop scrolling when you see all of the item boxes appearing.
But hey, at least Speed didn't run through the entire dungeon 13 times before we even got into the dungeon
and like
tell them
scouted
how to
all the traps.
Yeah, at least that didn't happen.
That would have been really sad for Seth, who's not in here either, which sucks, I guess.
I have to praise the special sauce that our characters have, Donut and Carl. If I had known that there was a talking cat with like a faux British accent this entire book going into this, I would not have read it. I would have found some way to veto it. And it was weird at first, but then Donut's personality started to reveal itself by degrees. And even she seems to have some kind of backstory buried lead for book 2.
Yeah, with Ferdinand.
With Ferdinand, and, you know, I don't know. Why did she jump out? It's such a singular moment. Like, it was specifically called out that she's never jumped out the window before. So is that something? Is she part of Agatha's little subterfuge corporation? Something worked. And even Carl with our action hero, they are just good enough to carry this and to convince me that they have depths that will be brought to the fore over time.
Yeah, I have to admit that, like, even though I don't care about these characters or what happens to them, like, I don't dislike them, but I do not like them. Like, they are people at a party that I would say hi to and then, I don't know, like, just sort of politely move along.
Oh yeah. I love talking to cats at parties.
But there's something about the way they play off of each other that like recognizably, mechanically, like undeniably works. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't like it, so it's bad. Like, like it does, it works somehow.
Yeah, it does.
Like they just have good chemistry, I guess, like friend chemistry. And that's nice. I always like friend chemistry. I feel like we've said before in these books that like characters are rarely just nice friends with each other.
Yeah. The way that Carl like comes to care, he's always cared for Donut, but like it becomes way more personal. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, at first he kind of resents her, right? Because she's like this show cat that's always gotten more attention in the relationship than he has. But then they're sort of forced to get along.
Right.
So conceptually, and I think only reading the subsequent 8 or 9 books could bear this out, which I'm never going to do. Sorry.
Nope.
But there's like conceptually some cool commentary in the like enshittification of the game itself, right? Like we mentioned those bugs that have been popping up during our summary, not the roaches, but like the glitches,
the computer bugs.
So there's bugs in the AI, it seems like, but also more noticeably just in the game itself. And that feels like it's in line with like how the Borant Corporation is like bankrupt and they're struggling to make this game good and so much is relying on it. So like there's pressure to take extreme steps to make the game interesting. Like, for example, the new inventory categorization system for some reason keeps getting brought up. It's like something that Borant hasn't tried before, and Carl's quickly finding like it's very exploitable.
Right.
And so like, you know, that it's kind of cool. Like I'd
Yeah.
like to see it. It depends on whether or not it actually concludes with anything, like whether or not I think that this is good, like commentary on capitalism per se. But I see what the first book is starting to do. So going off of the information that I have, it's like I can kind of project the direction.
And I liked what that buggy kind of atmosphere led to with Carl. This kind of goes back into what I was saying about his special sauce, is he's prodding at these loose ends or these weird things that he can exploit. And that makes him so much more engaging than if he were a conventional kind of action hero, no nonsense type. There's a perfectly calibrated balance there.
Something that was like, I don't think it really mattered, but it was a really cool little world building detail that the Borant Corporation, or corporations in this world generally, have like seeded these human civilizations on other planets as well. And sometimes the disparate human civilizations will like invent the same technology or like write the exact same song because there's something in human DNA that like predestines us to like form certain societies, I guess. Like, I don't really know how that would work realistically, but it's a scary idea. I don't know, just like as a person that likes to write and thinks of their writing as like a unique expression of their lived experience, it's like, oh, like how horrifying would it be to encounter your counterpart from another planet that's like, I wrote the exact same poem like as you word for word. It would bring into play questions of like, I don't know, like almost free will or something like that.
Hey, John Calvin.
There he is. I knew you were around here somewhere.
I knew he'd be here. Yeah, so that is really cool to me. I worry it's like a patch job for a lot of these weird allusions or references. And I'm also worried that it will lead into some kind of dumb millennial version of human universality. Like, I don't know, they say something stupid like, oh, the Beatles are so awesome, there's one of them on every planet, or like some dumb band. Like, you know what I mean?
Do millennials love the Beatles? Is that a millennial thing?
I don't know. I'm thinking of a band that has like a lot of cultural power that I don't care about.
Got you.
I don't know.
To be fair, you could read this like as hopeful or beautiful. It's like, wow, the triumph of the human spirit persists across galaxies.
But I think it's better read as horrific and scary and deterministic.
Yeah, it's at least unsettling.
Right.
It can be both unsettling and beautiful, or unsettling and just scary.
You know, a lot of things contain multitudes.
That's true.
Thank you for not writing Ready Player One, Matt. And speaking of like, oh, the Beatles on every planet or whatever, a worse writer would have had just so many cultural references, and they're there.
There are too many.
Yeah, there are too many, but they're not in places that are hard to buff out.
Right.
It's not like they were attacked by the jelly, what was it, they're not attacked by the marshmallow monster from Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? Like something stupid.
They don't go onto the reality TV show and find that it's hosted by Max Headroom.
Right. Exactly. There's enough two-stepping that certainly took work, and I think that we should praise that, but also avoids this fate where you're so inextricably tied to things that will just fade to ash with the passage of time.
Yeah.
and again, that problem is here in this book, but it is elsewhere and much easier to deal with than if you had written Ready Player One.
Like, yeah, so this book's problems are that, like, it is sort of conceptually always referencing Deadpool, and then it's basically doing the literal in-text equivalent of referencing Deadpool, and both of those are problems, but the referencing Deadpool by name is the lesser problem.
Right. Exactly.
One final note on the book, like setting up or deferring things, depending on how you want to look at it, is that it does instill a confidence in me as a reader that things are going to pay off. Because there's enough things that pay off within the first book, like Carl picking up all of the dynamite, for example.
Right.
I'm willing to believe that, like, these are not just, like, randomly thrown in there for the hell of it as, like, a bait and switch. Like, something's going to come of this. Especially recognizing that by the end of book 1, we've only done 2 of 18 floors. And I'm assuming that we're never actually going to reach floor 18, because by the time that happens, there will be greater forces intervening that sort of make the game, like, irrelevant or vestigial or secondary.
And that's probably the best way we can close out the good section is, I know if certain people or like a certain like fan of this book watches this video, they're going to be like, oh, in book 2 it gets good, it's going to get great in the later books. I believe you. I 100% believe you. I'm sure it gets fantastic. A lot of what's in this book is fantastic. It's just this book that it's been really hard for me to kind of swallow overall. But like, if you're a fan of this book, that's fantastic. I think that's great. And again, I cannot say enough that if you're going to comment, it gets good at book 5 to whatever, you're probably 100% right.
But like, that does not affect what we are saying about book 1.
But, leave it at this book has endless possibilities for becoming something better.
Yes. Most improvable book we've read in a long time.
Exactly. I love it. You two are so adorable. I'm so happy to have you here with us. Her bug gaze focused on me. Aw, shit. So, Carl, before you came on, I promised my audience I'd get you to say it. I looked at her blankly. Say what? I asked. You know, Odette said. She waved her hand as if she was trying to coax it out of me. Your catchphrase. This is not real life. This can't be real life. I have no idea what you're talking about. A screen appeared, floating in midair in front of me. It was me and Donut from above. It was a scene from early on. We were peering into an alleyway, and a moment later I leaped back as a blob of lava rocketed out towards us. I screamed, "God damn it, Donut!" And the scene changed. I was being attacked by a pair of cockroaches, while Donut watched from a pile of garbage. "God damn it, Donut!" I screamed. The scenes kept changing over and over, each time ending with me saying the same thing. I'd said it at least 15 times. Odette cocked her head at me. Figure it out yet?
I believe in my spirit the goddammit donut thing is a reference to Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I can't prove it, but I believe it deeply.
Well, Jay, you kind of pulled us with hook and nail into the negatives. So how about you get us started out with something that could improve in Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 1?
Yeah, so the writing, at least at the beginning, it does get a little bit better by the end, but like the actual like nuts and bolts writing is not that good. Like, it's okay, but let me illustrate what I mean, because that's kind of a mean thing to just say and then not expound. The boiler on the enormous steam engine looked like a baked potato that had been peeled open with a bunch of copper sticks coming out of it like tentacles. A steady cloud of angry steam still hissed from the interior of the wreckage, mixing it with the black smoke. The room was ankle deep in water, and the water sizzled and steamed as it came into contact with the burning wall. So the first sentence is like just kind of weird and wordy to begin with. On the whole, it's like a bit expository, like it's giving a little too much physical detail.
Yeah.
But what really bothered me was the potato, because like it has quote unquote tentacles, but the tentacles are made out of things that are like straight sticking out of it. Right. So it like tentacles are like curved. So like I there's like friction there for a second where I'm like, how is it like tentacles? Like these things don't really visually make a lot of sense. But then also the water in the room is ankle deep, but it's described as the room is ankle deep in water. So I'm like, wait, does the room have ankles? Because in this world that could be possible, you know, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for the room to literally get up and start walking around or something like that with them inside. So it's just like there's like little compounding things where I'm like, this is, I don't know, it feels like a little inattentive to like the little details at times, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the prose in its entirety is very journeyman. There's a lot of that little awkwardness here and there, and some of it's, you know, fine. Other parts, you can kind of just explain it away with the whole Amazon self-publishing thing. I have no idea what kind of editing team, if anyone, went into this. I'm sure someone did, because it's a passable novel, but you know, I do have to wonder with self-publishing and the barriers there too, like
Andrew's saying, like
happened.
It's not the end of the world, but it's like it compounds over the course of the book, and it just feels like not a lot of attention was paid to that, which I don't know, makes me feel a little disappointed, I guess, as a reader. Like I want something a little bit more like finely crafted, I suppose.
Right, and I can lump that in with my whole issue with how much I hated everything up until the Hoarder. Is maybe it was just, I don't know, physically written at an earlier point, so it's just the least mature part of the story. I don't know. It's definitely hit and miss with the whole prose.
I think the prose also kind of lends itself to a little bit of a larger problem where like the the narrator, which is kind of Carl, but not really. Like, the narrator's voice is sort of bland. And I think that's because the prose is so uneven and like kind of rugged in places. Like, it feels like the just the narrative itself hasn't like found how it wants to sound, which is interesting when contrasted with the AI, whose voice is like very distinct.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just the difference between those two things that draws my attention to it.
I could see that.
Because it almost feels like the narration itself should be what the AI is, where it's like it's got a sense of humor. And I'm not actually going to suggest that, because if the two were both there, then they would probably feel like they're muddying each other, and you would start to wonder, like, is the AI the narrator, which would raise like distracting meta-narrative questions. But I don't know, just on the whole, like, the voice wasn't quite working for me.
I'm just going to agree to disagree there. I thought it was fine voice-wise. You need that kind of straight man to go through this, and you need him to be a hero who wouldn't let old people die. And every now and then we do have a little bit of pathos from him. I'd be interested to see how his voice develops over the series, but I'm really hesitant to suggest anything like changing it here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, and speaking of the prose, I have a boring list of things that only bother me.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
I love a list.
I am sure there's an explanation for all of these things. I'm not going to say I don't care, but it bothered me despite any headcanon I could come up for myself, so I'm just going to say them. They may not matter. Every time the HUD comes up, Carl mentally clicks. He mentally drags the screen. He mentally. That adverb is used every time he does anything with the HUD. Use it once and then never use it again. It's not necessary. We know. And even if we didn't know, it doesn't matter because it's just a HUD.
See, this is kind of what I'm saying about like the overly expository prose. Like these little things, like, you know.
Yeah. Okay. See, you always end up like getting me to get...
Well, I mean, these are disparate critiques, but like I think they overlap with the same.
They're a constellation.
Yeah.
The first announcement that they get right before the portals open, the announcer says, in 1 human hour. Hours are not inherently human. Statistically, they probably are now, just by the way society has gotten, but hours are not a universal way of counting time. There have been plenty others in plenty of other places, and it upsets me to just like associate humanity with this very specific thing. Maybe this is like biased. I was in a work meeting one time with a UI designer, and he said humans read from left to right, and I could have throttled him.
When you're an alien that's infiltrated a human work meeting.
Right. I was just so mad about that. Like, no, they don't. And humans don't have hours inherently. In general, Princess Donut understands metaphors and cultural references way too easily. It is not enough to say that she just watches TV while the people are at work. I don't think I'd want her to like...
You want her to be Drax? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want her to be Drax necessarily, but like there's something about like sharks versus minnows, and how the hell does this cat know what a shark is?
She watches the Discovery Channel, Andrew. They lampshaded this.
Okay, which is like... It's dumb. In general, I feel like
she gets out, she goes to the shows.
Okay.
She competes.
See, this is what I mean, is like, this only specifically bothers me. I may be the only person on the earth who's bothered by this.
I'm surprised, actually, that I'm not bothered by this. Like, now you're describing, I'm like, I should be bothered by this, but I'm like, just not somehow.
Right, because the alternative, if you can call it that, would be so much worse.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I feel like something could be done to play with her being a cat. It just feels like she's a prissy, naive person, and magic, whatever, watching TV. Like, there could be some kind of horror associated with her sudden rise to sapience, or her perception of time is different. I don't know, these little things.
It could be, what they could do is have her be extremely knowledgeable about like exactly one subject. Like, say when the couple left the house, they always left on one particular channel, and so she knows everything about reality TV, say,
sure.
but she doesn't know anything about everything else.
Yeah, I like that.
So then it wouldn't be all the time that she's like, what do you mean by... I don't know, whatever,
Minnows.
fill in joke here.
Right.
But like that, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like you kind of split the difference.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good compromise. Because as I was saying that, I was like, do I really want?
Right. Like,
But-
what am I necessitating by implication? Like it would be.
I don't know. It was just a little weird, and maybe I'm just thinking too much about the mechanics of giving a cat sapience. But I think it would be a little bit weird for them.
Yeah. Okay. Let's address the epic narwhal bacon mustache in the room. That is me addressing it, by the way.
Okay.
The random humor is just like, like it's dated. It's a little dated. The gnome with the Russian accent, the llama that spits fire and is like a drug dealer in a hoodie and like flip-flops, and I don't know, I've just never... This book made me feel like Yahtzee Croshaw a little bit at times, the way I was like, this is so not funny.
Yeah, the use of the word trolling.
The use of the word trolling. Like, it's weird because it just feels dated.
Yeah.
Like, I would not expect a book that is so committed to random reference humor, like, be drawing from stuff that feels like it's already well in the past. I mean, I guess that's what Ready Player One did too, but it was mostly pulling on stuff from, like, what was 30 years ago at the time, and this is, like, 10 years ago. Like, I don't know.
Though I'm loath to say it, in Ready Player One's defense, a lot of these things were cultural juggernauts who are ubiquitously understood to this day.
Or they were really deep cuts, so that like rewarded noticing them or understanding them, I should say.
And there are people alive on this earth today who don't know the honey badger meme.
Right.
Or whatever.
And now they do.
And
You're welcome.
Right. It scares me a little bit, because this book will not survive the passage of time.
No.
It already feels like I'm reading a relic.
Yeah.
And that's... I don't like that. I mean, maybe it could work as like a time capsule.
Right.
I know that classic literature has plenty of like pop culture references for its time, but like the whole thing about the llama representing people who use drugs, like that's already like not funny at all.
It's not funny.
Right. So it's just like things are going to evolve to where this is going to be complete gibberish. And I don't like that for any book.
And it's a symptom of a bigger problem, which I think, Andrew, you might say that like, oh, well, this is the exact draw for a big part of the target audience. And I understand that. Like, I do understand that conceptually. It draws so much of its identity from reference to other things. And I find that to be just like a little, it could be, well, I find it to be a little bit shallow, which I don't want to say is an insult, because what I mean is it could easily be deepened a bit, which we'll get into in the next section. But it's not just in the things that it chooses to reference, like I was saying about Deadpool earlier, though it doesn't literally reference Deadpool to my recollection. It's the way that it references Deadpool conceptually in its very being by just being Reddit, basically. Like but it's not like deep Reddit, like deep into some toxic fandom. It's like normie Reddit. It's like very surface level Reddit. And like that in itself, like you said, it might have some anthropological interest, 20 years from now, but otherwise it will be a combination of like gibberish and cringing at like the tasteless jokes a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe.
I just find it too shallow, a little too digestible, like it's too skimmable. When I can skim chunks of a book and still know what's happening, like I don't consider that a positive, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, man, we have to talk about whatever you have going on with people's breasts. I don't like it. It is extremely othering every time. I think Jay said verbatim, every time there's a gross person on the screen and that person is feminine, the size, shape, and condition of her breasts always comes up. Even with, there's something about the corpse that they find in the beginning that bothers me too. It feels like something I would tell like a teenager in a critique group. Like, does she have to be naked? And does her body have to be remarked upon?
That is very apt, because I also felt that there was something very teenage about the way that the novel was looking at the dead body, but also trying not to look at the dead body. Like it itself felt uncomfortable with the thing that it had put in the story. And yeah, it remarks on her physical appearance in a way that is like skirting like being a little creepy.
Right. And this is not an accusation of creepiness necessarily. No. I just have a problem with the vehicles by which you arrive at describing certain characters.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's conspicuous that many of the women whose breasts are described to this level are like gross in some way. Like there's this nexus of like allure and repulsion that feels like, I don't know, it feels like there's a emotional weight to it.
Right.
That the narrative is completely disinterested in.
Yeah. It's the disinterest, and it's also just the singularity of it being women.
Yeah.
There's like one dick joke with the creepy guy who pisses, and like,
and there's jokes about Matt. There's jokes about Carl's size too, and but that's more like veering into the territory of like being a gay joke though, because of the context where it appears. So it's like it's a kind of different. But
yeah, I don't know what I'm saying here. Just if you're gonna have an exquisite corpse, maybe make one or two of them men, just to say that like you were even-handed in this.
I think it's enough to say that like we were uncomfortable in a non-accusatory way. Like
that's it.
I'm uncomfortable. That is not itself bad, but I sense that something is going on here that I don't really have the language for necessarily, or I'm not the right person to be talking about.
Yeah.
I flagged it.
Take that sentence, replace it with feet, and apply copy paste. Something is going on here. I don't know if it's quite Lauren Robertson incest level, but you really like talking about feet, buddy.
Yeah,
it's all right. Like it's cool, but you know,
there's a sine wave of feeling that I feel about it, where it's like, oh, this is it's not a joke. Okay, it's a joke. Oh, it's not a joke.
That's exactly how I felt. And if you have to ask.
We don't have to ask. We can stop talking about this at any moment.
Okay, two things made us uncomfortable. We're not making any accusations. I know we're prudes. Whatever. I don't want to hear it. Anyways,
I don't
end of story. Shit. End of story.
The pacing is really off.
What pacing?
Of the novel.
Yeah,
the narrative pacing.
The thing that is not a story.
Right. The thing that. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Because
sorry.
My problem's a microcosm of your problem. Okay. So I'm trying to springboard you into it. At page 90, we're about at the 20% mark, and we are still just doing exposition. Like technically the inciting incident has happened. They've gone into the dungeon. Thank God by page 90 they're in the dungeon. I mean, Jesus. But nothing has actually happened that feels like it's moving us in the direction of like a true rising action. So it's this weird narratively uncomfortable situation where it's like, well, the inciting incident has clearly passed, but we're not actually moving towards something. The caveat, we know that like the game is the end game for now. Obviously it's going to get replaced in book 12 or whatever. So like theoretically there is that, but we also know because of the length of the series that we're not going to get anywhere near that. So like what is our main conflict for book one? And the fact that we don't know that by the 20% mark of the book is a symptom of a larger problem that my good friend and co-host Andrew is very eager to talk about. Take it away, Andrew.
Well, you've kind of shot me in the foot because your microcosm explains my macrocosm. But the Freytag Pyramid of this book is shaped like the long division sign. Like it goes up and it just stays there and then ends.
The great steps of Freytag.
The great steps of Freytag are completely unfollowed. What is the climax of this book?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you. Okay. I was waiting for it. I was thinking this was going to come up, but like there's nothing I could reasonably call the climax.
Is it the level 99 monster?
Not really.
Is it Frank?
No.
Not Frank. Ralph the murder gerbil?
No, because like once we kill the pig ball, it feels like we have peaked somehow just because the threat was big. But then we kind of plateau again. And we enter like a really extended like fun and games thing
that never
ends until
it's all fun and games.
It ends. Yeah, it doesn't end. The book ends before it ends.
Right.
One would assume it would pick up right where that stopped.
Right. And I'm not saying this needs to be like creative writing 101 stuff. But
it could benefit from creative writing 101 stuff.
It could be
a little bit.
I do kind of have to be a little bit prescriptive here because I don't care. It's not a substitute for narrative tension that the goblin is level 2 and the demon is level 99.
No. make those things manifest in their capabilities, in their appearance,
in what's at stake.
Don't just tell me, like, kind of like show it to me. Like, because meaningfully, the goblin killdozer that they encounter at the beginning and the level 99 honey badger doesn't give a shit, they feel like equivalently threatening because they are both much more powerful than what Carl is prepared for at the current time. And in a video game, that would be good scaling. But in a book, it contributes to the sense that, like, we're just moving along a linear, like, tension path.
Yes.
Which we don't really want.
Right. Maybe the climax is them getting Mongo.
Maybe.
That was so pivotal.
But that also just feels like another... Oh, sorry, you were joking. I thought you were trying to make a genuine case for a second.
Anything we say could be right because there's no denouement, let alone rising action, to prove that there was a pyramid.
Yeah. The coolest thing that happens is the pig ball, but the most dangerous thing that happens is the elemental. So, like, it's hard to tell which one the book would have us believe is the climax.
Right. And it's just... There were times where it was very fatiguing to go back into this. I was in some state of anger and disbelief after floor 2 kind of panned out, and it was the exact same thing, but with different monsters in it.
Yeah.
And even the idea, even the thought that books 2 through 7 are going to be like this,
I know,
is a showstopper for me.
Yep. It's untenable. It's untenable. Like, I think what should have been the climax, sorry to give a suggestion a little early, is something that happens in floor 3. This whole book, we are told about this promised land of 4-3 where the game really opens up, I swear, you guys, and you get to pick your class and your race and all that. I think that we should have gotten to floor 3 and had something really big happen there. And then we would maybe even just retrospectively feel like there had been a rising action on the way to 4-3. Like, mentally, our pattern-seeking brains would have just sort of been like, yeah, totally, we
might have accomplished something that way.
Yeah, I don't know. But instead, we just defer that, which feels kind of disappointing to me. I feel like this lack of tension that's created by the clear Freytag Pyramid, or that is a co-symptom with it, I don't know that that's actually what's causing it, is that the genre of the book, besides lit RPG, because tonally a lit RPG could theoretically be anything, because anything could be an RPG.
Yeah.
Like, tonally, it feels like I don't know what the genre is, if that makes sense. Like, it's not tense enough to be a thriller. It's not gory enough to be, like, a gory horror. It's not funny enough to be a comedy. And so I'm left never really sure what the book wants me to expect from it in terms of genre, if that makes sense. Like, I guess it's cool theoretically that we have, you know, if I had enjoyed it, I would be looking ahead at like 8 more books and being like, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's pure novelty. I love that. But since I don't feel that way, like, it doesn't feel like it has a sense of identity yet beyond just like, it is a lit RPG. It is a novel that has elements of RPGs in it.
Right. And I don't know, like, this feels kind of mean, but I think the lit RPG thing is the only element of novelty.
Yeah.
It's the Hunger Games, Invader Zim, Ready Player One,
Legend of the 10 Elemental Masters,
all mixed together. And it's not like Powerless where it's just discrete. Like, I do think there's a compelling synthesis here. However, I don't think that Dungeon Crawler Carl invented that synthesis.
Right. It's
so,
yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the mix here, but it's not unique. It's not like something I've never ever seen before. It's this weird mediocrity, and I'm hesitating so much because this is just negative for no reason. But like, it's weird to me.
It's average. Like, it is an average of many things, and it comes through not just in the contents, but in the presentation of the contents.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
So, like Legend of the 10 Elemental Masters, the rules or the mechanics are both hyper-specific and extremely vague. Every time Carl does something, he gets skills, or a skill that he already had levels up. And these things can be like hilariously minute, like tying your shoes. And I don't understand the line between like, we need to actually be remembering this versus this is vestigial and a joke and or just for the sake of being there consistently. Like, that is so specific, but then like how those things actually combine to create like a character feels very opaque to me. Maybe it'll be explained in floor 3 where they like lock in their character building a little bit more.
Yeah.
But at this stage, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with like Carl's barehandedness, his barefootedness, his skills in crafting items. Like, I don't really understand what the numbers like correspond to necessarily. Like, how good is a level 8 bomb building? Like, how high does it go? Does it go
Right.
as high as your character? Does it scale on a separate range? Like, you get what I'm saying here?
I do. I do. I will give the credit that there's a good sense of relativity that works in places where this otherwise might just be stupid. The easiest thing is just like the levels. Like Frank is a level, I'm making this up. Frank's a level 10 while Carl's a level 6.
Right.
So you feel like, okay, what has this guy done for the EXP? And that's come up before. And you generally understand that like at level 20 strength, he can lift the 200-pound barbell and smack the juicer or whatever. But just in a vacuum, if you told me I have level 20 strength and don't give me something to compare it to, that's where I have the problem. And that's, I just wrote 2 words in my notes. I wrote list fatigue.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. Is it's hard to sift through the sand and find what information is actually going to be relevant to the success or failure of a situation. Because, I mean, is wisdom going to be important? Is intelligence? Many times they just spit out the entire character sheet. And to what end?
Yeah, in a novel where anything could happen because it's so heckin' wacky, like, you really don't know if Donut's 10,000 torches that at one moment are a joke are going to be relevant later. And I guess for a certain type of person, that is in and of itself exciting. But I want to know what the pieces in play are so that when they are moved around intentionally by the author, I can sort of scry like what rhetorically they're trying to accomplish. But this book isn't even really doing that. Like, it's not trying to say something. Like, well, as an ancillary goal, it is.
I could see this being done away with rather quickly by just cutting down some of the mass of items and loot boxes and stuff that they get. If there were a quality over quantity thing, maybe.
If there were less loot boxes and less achievements, like, I'm not saying none, but just less. They're both sometimes sort of unnecessary. And so now, because there's 2 types of lists, they're like double the unnecessary.
Right.
So they get more and more tiring each time.
The AAA game comments from Carl just have to go. No interesting conversation to be had here. It's just like Carl will be like, oh, this will be useful for later. Oh, that looked like it hurt. Like, they're literally like those Instagram reels that you see where it's like focus M or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. It literally feels like that. And they just need to go. It's weird. I like when a book makes me feel stupid, but I don't like when a book thinks I'm stupid. The mentally clicked on things in case I forget that he doesn't literally clicked on it, or this will be useful later, or tautological redundant statements being made that they just need to go. Simple as.
Yeah, definitely just need to go. I don't think I have really much to add to that. Another thing, though, that I think could go is the jokes that are occasionally a little bit mean-spirited. Like, for example, here's a quote that I pulled from a random monster description. While especially powerful, fast, and vicious when they are fully grown at level 15, getting them to level 15 is about as likely as a cheerleader from West Virginia reaching her 18th birthday as a virgin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, you've already had the like hillbilly trolls,
right?
So it's like, what do you have against Appalachia?
Really
like,
hate these guys.
why are you from Seattle, like making fun of like an impoverished part of the South? Like, obviously we have a degree of skin in this game, but still, like, all it does is empower me to more easily recognize a broader pattern of just like occasionally the jokes punching down for no reason at all. Like, replace that with literally any other unlikely thing.
Yeah. Make
Make a joke about, I don't know, fucking casino, Vegas or something like that if you're committed to it being referencing a state for whatever reason. But I don't know. I don't get this type of joke. Like, and that makes me wonder too what the editing on this was like, because I have to imagine that like most editors probably would have cut that. But if the book's already published and a publisher is just then starting to promote it and has like purchased it or whatever, then maybe they leave it in because it's already in.
And you can make the argument that it's like the achievement system is like particularly cruel
and the AI is like a little irreverent and mean, but it still makes me feel bad about the book.
They just need to go.
They just need to go. And it's easy to get rid of them. You just hit that little backspace button. That's what it's there for. I think similarly, the book has a weird relationship to like substances and substance use.
Yes.
Like Mordecai drinks to excess like in grief about, I think, his
Mhm.
brother's death in the dungeon. There's the aforementioned llamas that deal drugs.
The goblins who take them.
There's the goblins that take them. There's the moonshine, like
moonshiner
the hillbilly
leprechauns.
guys are always drunk on their own supply. I just don't know why this commitment to like making jokes about and like presenting substance use is going to be here if it's not going to be commented upon.
Mhm.
You know, like it's just a very real present issue that like a lot of people deal with. And this isn't like representation or something. Like
Yeah.
it's just here and the book doesn't engage with it. And I'm like, I don't like that very much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a taste thing. Once you start policing comedy, it gets weird, but like why?
I'm not policing comedy.
No. Once one starts
Oh, okay.
policing comedy, not you specifically. So I don't want to be like, don't make jokes about drugs.
Right,
at
but
the
these
same
aren't a lot of these
time-
aren't jokes.
Right. It's just supposed to be funny that it's a meth llama, that it's a moonshine leprechaun, and that's supposed to be it. And
Yeah.
it does feel very shallow.
Yeah. Actually, I guess most of them are jokes, but the Mordecai one I don't think is a joke, but maybe it is a joke. Like maybe it's funny that he's like, I
Right.
don't know, drinking from the bottle and like crying. It's, as I describe it out loud, it's harder to imagine that it's supposed to be a joke.
So
But you
that's
don't
funny,
know when
Jay.
it's a joke elsewhere.
Right.
Like, so well, you know that it's a joke elsewhere. So when this shows up, it's like I've been primed to wonder if the joke is that like he can't hold his liquor or something.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. For a lit RPG, there's like a couple of places where it uses RPG terminology incorrectly that I found somewhat conspicuous.
Really?
Yeah, like
I
there was
didn't.
a DOT effect that was referred to as sick health seeping.
Health seeping.
Not even health sapping, which is maybe what you could call it when something drains your health over time.
Mhm.
But
But
like usually it's called a DOT or damage
what's it-
over time.
Oh, damage over time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought everybody knew this.
Okay. Maybe
Maybe
the
not.
commenters will. I didn't know that. That's not in Pokemon. So
So it's true. So maybe, yeah, I guess it's more of like an MMORPG thing. So maybe if you haven't played those or
no,
known
I had a
somebody that was
terrible
into
internet
them.
growing up. I
Yeah.
never played any
So,
MMOs.
okay, that could be why. One last thing. I feel like we kind of, for the amount of page space that we have and for the number of people that there are, there's like not a lot of characters. You know what I'm saying? Like the only characters, I mean, Carl barely develops, Donut barely develops. They move a little, I guess. Like Carl becomes like more determined and Donut becomes less annoying, maybe.
Yeah, she does. She
Yeah.
does become less annoying.
So there's some movement, gradual movement, but there's just like nothing for anybody else.
Yeah.
And one moment that this becomes glaringly apparent is when Yolanda, who I'm sure you remember,
Yeah, the nurse who got, liquefied.
right, the nurse who got killed by the rage elemental, dies, and we don't know shit about her at this point.
Are you gonna talk about his little hero speech?
I'm going to talk about Carl's fucking eulogy that he gives her and talks about what a great person she was and how well we knew ye and how she was super great with the bow and arrow and all this shit. And it's like the novel is trying to gaslight me into thinking that there's been a character when really the only one that's been given any meaningful screen time is one of the mechanic guys who is also a strength build and is basically just like a weaker version of Carl who also has less personality. So it's like, if you wanted us to have this character, then just have the character in the first place.
Right. You could supplant her with Chris.
Yeah.
Just switch those out.
You could
That's interesting. There is a lot of redundancy there. No, I did laugh a little bit when that came up because he was like, she put others before herself. I had seen her always be so kind to others and help them when she got nothing in return. And we might have seen like two scenes where she helps old people get into the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, I believe you, but I didn't see it, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen that get described in summary, which I think could maybe be swapped with the grinding, which could instead be the thing that gets summarized. And then we get to actually see Yolanda do stuff. But I don't know, maybe Matt felt hesitant about in a lit RPG having characters like interact a lot and instead felt like there needed to be lots of on-screen combat because that's what most RPGs are by volume.
There's one last piece of advice I'd like to give, Odette said, looking at the both of us. She paused, as if uncertain about what she was about to say. She'd changed on a dime, suddenly looking different, almost sad. It's just a suggestion. I don't know if morally this is a good idea or not, but this will greatly increase your chances of survival. It's something to look for during class selection. It's generally only offered to crawlers with high charisma, so if it's available, it'll be hidden somewhere amongst Donut's choices. The problem is, if you pick it, it's going to make someone very angry. In Book 2. Okay, Jay, press L3 and R3 to activate suggestion mode. For 5 minutes, you will be enshrouded with a hex code 000000 force field, in which you will have +2 stat points to suggesting. You will be able to suggest twice as quickly for a 5-minute cooldown.
Okay.
Go.
I don't have a lot of time. Okay, so the tutorial with Mordecai is really boring.
Yes.
Tutorials plural, maybe I should say, because they often return for him to just tell them more things. So here's some ways that I think it could be punched up. Easiest would be just put us in a more visually interesting location. The safe room is like Mordecai's house. It's called a guild, but it's like
it's a house.
It's his house.
It's basically his studio apartment.
Yeah.
I don't even think there are rooms necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's one room.
Yeah.
So it's very dull. We could punch that up a bit. We could give his room... It can still be his room, but I think it could use with a little overhaul, a little makeover. Suggestion 2. I think something that would be even more fitting is if the training montage had real stakes. So if Mordecai says, hey, welcome to the tutorial guild... I'm here to train you, but this is Dungeon Crawler World and nothing here is safe, which means that even in the tutorial, though it is unlikely, you can be killed. And now I'm gonna actually practice moves and shit with you for a second, and there will be some light peril to establish us in this world. I think that maybe some of that could replace the initial grinding that they do with the goblins at the beginning. Suggestion 3. Replace Mordecai with a homoerotic anthro older roller coaster and have him train Carl, because that would be really sick, I think.
Go with suggestion 3. Okay, so very viable options.
Especially
especially number 3. I don't even know why I'm talking, because we should just go with that. Something that I was thinking about with these scenes is other famous fantasy stories with very hard rules. So probably 6 years ago today, I was reading the first Mistborn trilogy.
Okay.
And there is a tutorial segment where Vin and Kelsey are learning all of the really specific rules about their little magic system. And maybe this was just because I was 6 years younger than I am now. Maybe there was something special in Brando Sando, but it wasn't boring. You know, we were learning kind of functionally the exact same thing with cooldowns and limitations and the world and politics, but I think it was because, if I remember the scene blocking correctly, they were doing a small mission or something. They were literally doing something.
Exactly. Just anything to get them not standing across from each other and pressing A to advance the dialogue.
Right. And I almost wonder if, what if Mordecai was just with them for a little bit within the dungeon, and that's it, and we pepper that in, if that would be broken up and thus easier to digest.
If he follows Carl around and he's like, careful, Carl, there's some bad ones up ahead.
See, with all these suggestions, there's always a negative, but you just gotta balance it out right.
I mean, that voice is already basically there with the AI, so we might as well replace it with Mordecai for a little while. It might add some variety.
Yeah. With a lot of my suggestions, I don't know what I'm asking for, but I'll just say what I want, and then hopefully we can shore up something.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I loved the tension in the scene where they meet Frank, but I wish it were longer. It was great and it was fun, but there was a little bit of whiplash, and I almost wish that Carl had been swayed and that nothing bad had happened to them on that. So we did kind of think what I was saying, he had to kill these people, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that he's an ICE agent makes the viewer still uncomfortable with him. And then, I don't know, maybe by the Maestro interview, it's revealed that he's secretly a bad guy.
Yeah.
I feel like it could just have been accordioned a little bit more. And maybe I'm just gravitating towards it because it was the only moment of genuine tension in the entire book.
That's sort of what I'm thinking.
But I don't know. I feel like if that's our only thread, we should pull at it a little bit.
I think there's an inherently more interesting tension in Carl maybe being killed by another human than Carl being killed by goblin number 604, right? Like,
Right.
that's just, there's more to do there. And so I really like this idea of Frank maybe winning us over initially. Like, I think it'd be really hard for the book to pull that off, but if it did, it would be all the better.
If they made him not an ICE agent.
Right.
Well, I don't think he even was in real life. That was
No.
just his story.
It's
So
part of the
why
lie.
even bring that up?
I don't know.
I don't know. So yeah, they changed some things around and maybe have him come back a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Obviously, I should probably not be invoked in my like fun, silly beach read, especially not in current year. Like,
But if it's like an evil murderer,
sure, I mean, it's a lazy critique, I guess. Like, it's the most obvious
Sure.
thing in the world. But you know what? If ICE is gonna be there, they better
right?
they
right.
better be accurate.
Well,
about it.
that's exactly what I was saying about the sense of unease. Is like when I was starting to get swayed, like Donut was. I was like, wait, are they really gonna like?
Are they gonna
is
humanize
Matt
an
gonna
ICE
make
agent
me
in
like,
2026?
right. So that's what I was worried about. It did not happen. No accusations being made here, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So if that would just stretch out a little bit, it'd be fun.
Speaking of things that we could stretch out,
No.
I just think that like the beginning could be a bit longer so that we have some time to get accustomed to this version of Seattle. And I really don't mean very long at all, but like a little bit of time for us to get to know the world so that when it is ripped away, it feels more impactful. Because honestly, like I had a really hard time carrying initially. And then as the book advanced, Carl kept being like, I miss the outside world. Everything is gone. But I was like, well, we never saw the outside world. So like, while I can, in theory, sympathize with this feeling, it feels hokey in this book because we just never saw it.
Right.
Like there was nothing to which to be attached as a reader.
That is the problem with every single isekai story that I've even smelled. Like,
Oh, and you can always smell them.
you could definitely smell them. But like any secondary world, any kind of what is it called, the Alice in Wonderland thing? There's such a disinterest in the world, and lip service is paid in this book, so it doesn't bother me as much here.
I think
But,
that makes it worse. But go on.
But in so many cases, all these stories are in a rush to get to the secondary world and murder everyone as quickly as possible. That I do kind of like wonder why this happens. I guess because this is the fun part, but it doesn't feel as strong.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel as strong at all. And when it's one of Carl's sole motivating factors, I mean, at least in name, like it keeps drawing my attention back to it. I'm like, but what does Carl miss about the outside world? Like,
Right.
does Carl have a favorite coffee shop?
Sure.
Like, just something.
Always with the coffee shops, Lightlark and everything else.
Does Carl have a favorite man that feeds him chocolate in public? Like, something to miss.
Oh my god. Well, no, he specifically confirmed that he wasn't gay.
That's
so.
true.
Another thing that I don't know what I'm asking for, I would like to see Carl and Donut fail more.
Ooh.
I don't know what it would look like.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they have Minecraft villager totems or the Ready Player 1+1s, but like every single time, even the interesting stuff, you've convinced me that the ball of swine is interesting now, but like you have a situation, something is come up with to deal with it.
Yeah,
And then you watch the HP bar drain. And that's it. I guess the ball breaking apart kind of counts as phase 2, but there's never a phase 2 that I can really think of.
Explicitly, once the pigs are isolated, they're easy for Carl to squish.
Right, so it's less of a phase 2. It's like a phase 0.5.
Right, yeah.
So
It's like a joke boss at that point.
right, and I just anything we can do to avoid just sitting and watching HP bars drain, whether that is, like I said, a phase 2 or they get like incapacitated in some way. Like even when they get incapacitated in this draft, they're fine, and we know they're fine, and they just take a healing potion. I don't know what I'm asking for, but I need them to fail.
Yeah, I don't know what that would look like either. Like, I'm struggling to think of something that could be a failure that wouldn't require the whole plot to be diverted. Because, like, one of the few things that, like, for whatever reason I want to pull on, I guess because it's a detail that stuck out to me, is that, like, if you're maimed in the dungeon, that won't be healed. Your stat bar will still refill, but, like, you can still lose an eye forever or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I almost want there to be some kind of lowish stakes consequence, like, that maybe could be solved with magic in a later book or something. But, like, Carl or Donut loses an eye in a fight, and that's how they learn that limbs don't regenerate, etc., is not by someone telling them, or maybe it tells them after the fact, but like it happens and they're like, oh my god, it's not coming back, like I can't see out of this eye.
Yeah, and that would be cool.
And then they have an eye patch for a while, and then they get a magic eye later or something.
Yeah,
like in Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, see, that would be fantastic.
Because like fundamentally, you're right. It does feel like every time they come up with a plan, it basically just works.
It just is.
Yeah. I would really like to see some of the old folks get some kind of agency or something. Like, I just don't like, on principle, that they are explicitly a burden.
Yeah.
And solely a burden. There is lip service paid to them having, like, characterization. Like, Carl befriends one of them in particular, like an older lady.
Who is sexually creepy to him.
Also that.
That's my problem. I think a lot could be solved if we just replace the moments that you're suggesting with the sexual comments.
I wish that like they could be given the opportunity to contribute something and not just be treated like an obstacle or an obligation. And like on one level, I do like what this ethical quandary does. You know, it further cements Carl as like a plain old hero, like a good guy. So I understand its utility, but also like, what if one of those older people who is a synecdoche for the group got to have like a cool moment in like a clutch situation? And so it didn't just feel like these people are being their agency is being limited, I guess.
Yeah. Even just a little bit of agency that's not sex jokes would just go so far.
Yeah.
I don't even need them to do like some kind of badass grandpa thing.
No, nothing
like,
corny like that.
I don't know. Just have them not be. They feel like in Not My Home with the school full of children that were just like inarticulately wailing as the firefight happened. They feel so vestigial.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just there to underscore the heroicness of our heroes is kind of bad.
They might as well be like a series of glass sculptures that they've been tasked by a hex to get to a location, you know? Like, the fact that they're people really doesn't matter.
No. That would be cool. They'd be like quirky artists.
It would actually be like kind of sinister and unsettling if this could be a way of solving it. Okay. What if the mechanic guys like early on floor 1 encountered an enemy that was way too high level for them, and it turned all of the old people to glass, and it cursed him with carrying them on a parade float down to floor 3 where they will be able to then like respec if they want to.
Yeah because there was a boss, I think it killed them, but we can retcon that. That could turn people into stone at one point, so could work. Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like the book really wants them to be characters, and like I sympathize that with it to a degree because there's a lot of them.
But like there might be, and there is one or two. I was going to say there might be one or two, but there is one or two. But they're both sex perverts.
Yeah,
and that's the entirety of what they contribute.
What if there was a horny old person,
who really liked Carl? Wow, wouldn't that be zany and so gross?
Wacky, yeah.
Whoa.
Again, that nexus of the grotesque and the alluring. Like, what's happening, Matt? What's going on in there?
I don't want to know what's happening.
I don't want to know, but I want you to know so that you can be okay.
Right. I could see the Agatha's corporation thing having that lead buried a little bit earlier. Maybe. Right now I'm just kind of like trying to find things that could substitute narrative tension.
Yeah.
And I think that's our biggest like thing that could be like, oh, read book 2. And it comes in like the last 20 pages here. So
right, because like she really does, until the thing happens where she's not on camera, she really does just seem like an additional thing that they have to keep in mind for no reason. Here's something that I thought maybe could result in some tension, and I don't really know how to make this happen, but maybe we can figure it out together. Okay. So 2 things we learned like fairly early on is that this game world is broken in that there are a lot of exploits, and that Borant is like, that's the first time I've said that this whole episode. Why did it come out as Borant that way? We've been saying Borant the whole time.
I've been saying Borant.
Oh, have you?
Borant?
But I said Borant.
Borant. I don't know how you say it.
It doesn't matter. So there's a lot of exploits in this game, and Borant is constantly having to patch it. This means that theoretically at any moment, Borant could intervene and change something at the same time that it would become relevant. But it also means that like more things could be glitching out and fucking up early.
Right.
Like, what if Carl is walking around in the dungeon and like the texture tiles on one of the walls is like really missing? That'd be a good way to seed that like something could happen at a moment where it's like not your fault. Like, you're playing the game optimally, but the game breaks and then you die.
Right.
And then what?
Yeah. Or there's a speed runner on the other side of the world running around, and he's like found a way to clip through walls and jump
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
There might be there's a lot of different things you can do with that. That's kind of just a gold mine of just little tiny little quirks that you can add that would be cool enough and interesting enough without changing too much.
Just add a degree of uncertainty, so if there's going to be all this combat, we can at least worry that, like, maybe even Barant isn't trying to fix a bug and they mess something up, but like maybe in real time they're editing a monster because Carl's doing too well and like somebody on the inside wants him dead. Like maybe this is a little too early for something that direct, but like you get what I'm saying. Like the brokenness of the game and the fact that Barant is always changing things means that like either or both of those things could come into play at any time. And I just wish that tension was more felt because it should be there.
Yeah. I could see that in like the dingo fight, or the supposed dingo fight where the kennels were there. There's like one dog in Lanedale who won't attack you because his aggro was never turned on because of a bug. So what if the same thing happened there? Like one of the dingoes was fine, and I don't know, they exploited that glitch to get the other ones de-aggroed somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, and like we get a hint of that with like the invincible crafting table, but in a game that's so broken, it feels anomalous that there's really only one thing like that we come across.
Right. Just more. Is it even worth talking about the whole Freytag Pyramid thing as far as suggestion goes?
I don't know that I have more to say about it than what I've already said.
Yeah.
I just think that like we need to cut some of the filler content so that this book can be extended into like middle of floor 3. We can have our climax somewhere semi-early on floor 3.
Shove things up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just so crazy. I never thought I'd be like, hey, pick up Save the Cat, make a beat sheet, I'm begging you, because I need to be on a roller coaster, and now I'm just on a highway.
Right. It's disorienting, for one thing, but if it was disorienting and it worked, that would be cool. This is disorienting and it doesn't work, because there's just narrative beats that have been arbitrarily dropped and or deferred to book 2.
Right. And you understand the rules of engagement from the very beginning, so it's just not worth it.
In such a conventional novel, or a novel that's conventional in so many other ways, like just a commercial fantasy read, like I don't understand this kind of like structural innovation.
Right.
Like it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so I mentioned like the moral element of what Carl and Donut should do when they encounter the older people a second ago. I want to circle back around to that.
Okay.
Because it makes a lot of sense that Carl would immediately like want to fight for them and like help them and all that stuff. But it makes a little bit less sense how quickly Donut gets on board with it, I think. I think there's just a slightly missed opportunity for characterization there. Like if they could have a bit of a conversation about it, mainly in service of them choosing to do it, feeling more impactful. Because right now, they come across the old people, Carl sees that they're in need, and because we already know he's a good guy, it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to help them.
Yeah.
When really, this could be a moment of just, I don't know, intrigue or like something happening, even if in the grand scheme it doesn't matter. This second-to-second experience of reading, I think, can be enhanced too, So if Donut's like, oh, I don't know, Carl, like they're really going to bring us down, and Carl's like, no, we have to do it, and something, what I'm saying?
And it could be like a cat reason, or like a cat personality joke kind of thing.
Just so it feels like more of a decision for Carl, if nothing else, so that we create the illusion that the main character is choosing to really do things.
Yeah, fuck it, put that in there. I could see that. I don't hate how it's executed, because it's lampshaded as surprising that Donut cares about the old people. I think Carl says something like, I knew there was a good kitty in there somewhere, but at the same time, maybe they could have drawn it out a little bit more, like a beat more.
Maybe my suggestion is like a little too extreme. Like we don't need to make Donut the villain in this situation. Maybe they can just have like a very pragmatic but sympathetic conversation about the advantages and disadvantages of choosing to party up with this
right,
group.
and she takes the no camp.
Yeah,
pragmatic's the right word for it, because I mean it's pretty cogent to not want to drag a bunch of people around.
If nothing else, it's realistic to like have the conversation, even if we more or less know what they're gonna do.
Right. Yeah, that would add something. So Beatrice is like definitely alive, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I wonder why that's so obvious and why it didn't come up this book. Like what are we saving it for?
I'm not sure.
That's not a suggestion. I'm just like, where is this going?
We're saving it for the cat, and the cat is Donut.
The cat is Donut, yes. Genius.
Yeah, I don't know why we are playing this game. I literally just suggested that we do something just for the sake of doing it because it's expected. But now I'm saying I don't know why we're pretending not to know that she's alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe she's part of the what is it called? Arve?
I hope it's interesting, whatever it is. Like
Valte.
The Valte.
That she's part of the secret game show.
Oh, like she was a plant from the start, like observing Earth.
Yeah, like Agatha. Or that.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought that's what you meant.
I was thinking of, well, we don't know how Agatha fits into this. Maybe she is part of that same group and she's like a renegade, but I don't know. So if she were like, she was just an evil alien the entire time and she just didn't understand the human concept of monogamy, which is why she cheated.
That would be kind of sad and funny, but it'd be more interesting than the alternative where it's like she's just a bad guy for no reason.
Hey, maybe I called it. Who knows?
Maybe. That would actually be super funny. I wonder if we'll get to meet the guy who she was cheating with in wherever they were. The Bahamas or Jamaica or Grand Cayman or... Yeah. Because, I don't know, like, Carl could use a little bit of additional depth, and I think like him having to confront the guy along with her could potentially be interesting. It would be a test of his character too, because this isn't just like a ethical situation in which he involves himself in order to like be the protagonist of a story. It would be more just like a personal thing, and like that would kind of test where the limits of his ethics lie.
I could see that going really poorly in kind of like a machismo way.
Oh,
like I don't know, an incel fantasy way. So? I don't know.
Oh, I was imagining that it would be resolved more tactfully, but I guess it does depend on the execution.
I'm identifying the risk. I'm not predicting here necessarily.
Right. But it could be an opportunity to have some like positive masculinity.
Yeah. Sure. I think he's a good example of that, old Carl. He's not a hulking moron, and he's got his good points,
which is why I'm saying like maybe put it in there as an opportunity to have him be tested, but pass the test, Jesus in the wilderness kind of thing.
Carl is just like Jesus.
He's a white guy,
didn't wear shoes. You can't say that.
I would sort of like to understand better. Cut me off if I just end up repeating shit about numbers. But I would like to know if the stats are descriptive or prescriptive, or if it's both. And in that case, I'd like to know when it is either.
What if we just didn't have them?
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to literally cut you off.
No, let's just go with that.
Okay.
It's so much simpler.
It's like maybe you can have them there as like the chapter headers or however they do it as like a novelty.
Right, a novelty, yeah, just an aside.
Not required reading to understand the rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Because it raises questions for me about like what is like physiologically happening when Carl's punching gets better. Like, does his technique improve? Do his knuckle skin thicken? Do his hands reconstitute themselves into like a different material? Does he somehow inexplicably get downloaded with like combat knowledge? And like the answer to these questions is shut the fuck up, who cares? Which is why I don't want you to prompt me to ask them in the first place. So again, like the numbers just going away I think would solve a lot of that.
Well, Jay, are you excited to read books 2 through I think 7, 8?
It depends on how excited Order of the Orb Fox is for us to read them, I suppose.
That's true.
But what if instead of reading books 2 through 7, we made our own floor of the dungeon?
Oh, we can be the game master. We could be fish people.
I mean, we've been told for 500 pages how cool floor 3 is.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm a little skeptical about book 2's ability to actually deliver on that. Like, I don't doubt that the character creator will be interesting just because I'm curious, like, what options will be available to them. But I think that we could probably make, like, a cooler floor as, like, a place than what the book might be able to do.
I think we can.
I don't know. Is that a mean thing to say? Is it a mean thing to get on the internet and say, like, I could write this book better than this book?
No, because I feel like us and anyone watching this can come up with something more interesting than grid-shaped
hallways.
Yeah.
Literally downloaded like a free D&D map.
Right. I think anyone here could do that. So no, I don't think that's pretentious.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use my tarot cards to magically conjure up a new floor.
I'm ready.
We're going to pull 3 cards, I think. We'll do one that will determine, let's say, like the floor's aesthetic. We'll do one to determine an interesting event that occurs on the floor, not counting the character creator, because we obviously already know it's going to happen. And one for a memorable boss that inhabits the floor, maybe guards the stairs or something. I don't fucking know.
Okay.
And Andrew, you famously don't know a lot about tarot cards.
Absolutely nothing.
So
actually.
I'm going to have you draw the first one and just tell me what you think the tarot card describes the floor to be.
I'm ready. I can do this. I feel the magic flowing through me. I've updated my intelligence to level 20.
Tarot cards aren't intelligence. They're definitely arcane.
Oh,
or like occult or something.
Fuck. Ooh. All right. We have the 2 of Pentacles.
What does it depict, Andrew?
Okay, it depicts looks like a dog, a border collie, or some kind of collie holding 2 star balls. Okay, so what am I describing here? Is this the layout of the...
Use what you see on the card to tell us what the floor will be like.
Okay, we've had some upsetting like implications for like animal rights and animal treatment, and also people and sentient creature treatment. So a lot of bad records with this company. So I'm seeing these star balls, and I'm I don't know if the camera can see it. This is what it looks like. And I'm picturing like the ball that a seal, like a trained seal, will have on its nose.
It balances it.
So the next floor is going to be like fucked up SeaWorld. Like they're all going to be like, I don't know, murder dolphins that swim in lava and shoot confetti. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
So, yeah, how's a dog gonna fit in though? Maybe one of the dingoes runs after them and joins them as yet another pet.
Like a second pet.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna have like a semi-aquatic.
Yes.
But is it like an aquarium, or is it like an underwater level, or both? I would think it's more of like every now and then, instead of the solid ground, there's a river, and then there's like a little deep part that you can kind of swim through. Yeah. Suddenly, one of the tunnels drops into an aquarium, and the only way to proceed is to go under and up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be like it's basically the exact same thing, but sometimes there's water, like in certain Pokemon mystery dungeons.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think isn't that like the first cave in the one we were playing?
Yeah,
like
I think it was.
In the sea cave, there's like water that you can only walk on if you're like a water type.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like that, and we can have some comedy there about like Donut's like, oh, I'm a cat, I don't want to swim. Something like that.
See, it writes itself.
And maybe because the older people, they can re-race. That sounds really bad to say. They can choose their class and race. They can respec. So maybe they can turn into like aquatic people that can move around more freely.
Like Tusk.
Like Tusk.
Like
the horror movie?
Yeah, the horror movie. They all turn into walruses. I don't like this idea anymore.
And then they free them into the underwater ocean. Be gone from the narrative, my beautiful creations.
Okay, what's next?
So we got an aquatic area. I guess I'll draw one for an interesting event.
Okay.
I'll take this one. Oh, we have the Hanged Man on this version of the card. I don't know if the camera will be able to see this. It's like a bat that's hanging upside down. So the Hanged Man can represent like a change of perspective, whether forced or willing. So let's see. I think Carl should have to come to some really difficult realization about something that he would be resistant to, that it would like really change his worldview, because I think that would help solve the interiority problem that we've been having. Let's see. He already learned that his girlfriend was cheating for many years because Donut let that slip. So it can't just be that this was just a one-off thing with this guy.
What if it weren't Carl's realization, but kind of a dramatic irony realization? You mentioned change in perspective.
Yeah.
And what does perspective mean in narrative fiction?
Okay.
It means perspective.
Right.
So what if Zev starts to become a POV character or something?
A new POV character.
We learn dramatic ironically, and Carl doesn't, some important fact about the future of the game. Like maybe it's been very, very easy on him on purpose. Like the game has nerfed itself and that changes our perspective somehow.
Okay, I like this. Can I offer an alternative idea?
Please.
What if Carl and Donut swap bodies temporarily?
Whoa.
Change of perspective,
Okay,
right?
wait,
And so then not only are we having like the physical comedy element, but they don't know how to use each other's skills. Like they know in theory how, but they haven't actually had to do it.
Right.
And this brings them closer together.
Okay, the old switcheroo. I like that.
I mean, we've already got like these sort of familiar video game concepts in the first couple of floors. Like the gimmick initially is that these roaches are spawning from the hoarder, and if you trace the path of roaches back, you can find and kill an easy boss who gives you a map. Then on the second floor, we have these grubs that spawn in proportion to the number of dead bodies. If they eat them, they level up and become an actual threat, right? So maybe it's not like, I mean, this is a common RPG trope too, right? Like that a character's moveset might get switched around, but also it's like a common like kids cartoon trope, you know, where the characters switch bodies.
Yeah.
So like, I don't see why it would be a problem to have this like familiar thing occur, right?
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, that would carry a lot.
It's cozy, it's readable.
Sure.
Do you want to do the boss or should we do it together?
Oh, we should do it together. Okay.
How does this work?
I don't know.
Okay.
We're just going to psychically choose the
This
exact same card.
Okay.
And we got...
Is it the sun?
Yeah, the sun.
The sun. Okay, so what do we see on this card?
It is a dragon in the shape of a number 2.
Okay, the 2's a coincidence for what it's worth.
Oh, it's not supposed to be in the shape of a number 2?
Okay,
well, I'm still going to incorporate it, encircling the sun.
If it helps you, I'll give you some additional information since we're kind of splitting the difference and I didn't initially. The sun represents like a period of like positivity and flourishing. So I think this is a challenging one for a boss, but it could be extra interesting because of that.
Okay, wait. So I'm seeing a lot of bending here.
Okay.
I'm thinking balloon animals?
A clown boss
like
in an amusement park?
Boss in an amusement park? Like I'm still trying to follow on from the SeaWorld thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's balloon animals at
what
the
does
SeaWorld.
like a major attraction have but a tour guide? So let's say they're being guided along. They get down there. There's no safe rooms to be seen initially, but who's this character? Oh, it's Clumzo the clown.
Clumzo.
And Clumzo is guiding them around the amusement park, but oh no, Clumzo gets confused and he swaps their bodies.
Okay.
And then it turns out, oh, he wasn't a tour guide at all. He was a boss.
Holy shit. That's it. That has to be what
That's
happens.
it. We wrote the book.
And he that could be his mob summon is the balloon animals. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not reading book 2 because that's literally exactly what happened in
we
it.
already did it. We're just going to skip to 3.
Yeah. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we accomplished a lot here today.
Me too.
We leveled up probably 10 levels. You know,
least.
my critique skill cooldown is now at 2 minutes rather than 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. It's faster.
I've gained the buzzed at 3 p.m. debuff. So thanks so much, Matt, for submitting your wonderful, wonderful book. Hope things work out better vis-a-vis plot structure and narrative craft later. But I had a fun time. I sure enjoyed the exploits of Carl and Donut. And I'm sure you have built this wonderful, wonderful world that will reveal itself by degrees amongst so many meth llamas and moonshine leprechauns.
Yeah. I think that's well said. This book wasn't for me, but I respect that it is for some people. But I am ready to depart this club room and descend to the floor where I can respec into somebody who has a little time to chill out before we record another thing in a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah.
That's also going to require a high degree of social interaction with a great number of people.
I don't know what the upload schedule is going to look like, but like literally diegetically a couple hours from now, we are going to record the Fault in Our Stars movie watch. I have no idea what it's going to look like, and I don't know what's coming first and when it's coming, but just know that we recorded both of these on the same day. So fun stuff to come.
I'm going to go to the safe room where Andrew can't get me.
I can find you. I've already gotten my I've got my potion of unfreezing.
Oh, no.
It makes me
but
resistant to freezing.
How are you going to... Oh, okay. I thought it was unfreezing, so like you drink it and then you unfreeze. And my question was going to be, how do you drink it if you're frozen?
Shut up. Episode's over. Thank you. We'll see you around campus.
See you on campus.